Jason Minix, The Blitz.
It is The Blitz here on a Football Friday. Welcome in. I'm Jason Minix. Here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. Maybe you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and you see a sleeveless James Pledger. That's his Friday wardrobe. I don't understand sometimes our great producer. Although I've known you 20 years, man, I should quit trying to figure you out. One day you look like you should be, serving, I don't know, drinks at a fancy-ass bar. The next day you look like you just rolled out of bed and came to work. And I still don't understand the sleeveless hoodie. But, we've gone over that. But you're a grown-ass man. You can't wear a tank top.
Why not?
Because you're a grown-ass man at work in a professional environment. I mean, if you worked at a gym, not gyms, but a gym, like, doing fitness instructor, which, I look at your Instagram page and I think you actually post more workout videos than actual fitness instructors post, which is kind of scary. It is what it is. But we got a lot to get into today. If you want to see Pledger's guns, man, turn on the video feed. Actually, that was bad. Nobody's going to do that. For those of you that just clicked off, I understand. I'm with you. I wish I could. We got a lot to get into today on a Football Friday. There's two things. I'm a little distracted. I actually am kind of excited. My daughter's graduation, whatever you call it, for Arizona State in December, all that's been approved. Everything is there. She got the email today. Like all of that's going to happen, which is always a big deal when you graduate from college, when you graduate from anything. But I'm excited for her, especially because, well, one, maybe that's sooner that she's off to payroll, but she didn't get a normal college graduation because of the shutdown. See, when she graduated from Sam Houston State, she came home on spring break and never went back. And when they did their kind of, if you want to come walk the stage thing, she was already in Phoenix at Arizona State and it didn't work. So, so there's that. And then there is a something else that I know is happening. Very few people know that it's happening. And as a dad, I've been on pins and needles all day, although I'm not really your dad. You know what I mean? But I know something, it should have already happened, but things don't ever go on schedule. So I've been waiting for a phone call. Well, I'm just saying. So if you see me glancing at my phone a lot, it's because I'm expecting and it's one of those things. It's either going to be really, really good or it's gone really, really bad in a hurry, which is going to be stories for another day. I mean, you know what I mean? So
I think I know where this is headed.
I'm just saying, because, she may have gone to Portland because it's her 30th birthday weekend. So I'm just saying, because it's 2:00 there. This is supposed to happen at lunch. So anyway, I just, so I keep waiting for said phone call. I wonder if I should do that live on. Nah, she knows better than to call me after 4. I'm just saying, especially if it won't go. I don't know, but I got to admit, man, it's in the back of my mind. It's hard keeping a secret. It can be hard keeping a secret. What's not really hard is managing a clock. And I know that Jerry Jones said that a lot of people in the NFL have issues managing a clock. I'm listening to Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, talking with Rob and Rudy this morning on R&R in the Morning, as he does every Friday. Brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. Now, the issues at the end of the first half against the Eagles were a big deal. Mike McCarthy screwed that whole damn thing up. Now, I don't know what Rudy's smoking by saying it's not that big of a deal. I heard Rudy say that this morning. I thought, Rudy, dude, you're wrong. You are so wrong. And then I got into a nice back and forth with Rudy over text. And I don't know if he finally just agreed with me to get me to stop, or if I showed him the ways in which he was wrong, right? Because Rudy thinking that was no big deal and couldn't believe that was a deal, maybe he's just not getting enough sleep at night. Maybe this getting up early in the morning is messing with his brain. Because Mike McCarthy completely jacked that up. And in reality, in all 3 games this year, Mike McCarthy has had bad clock management. He didn't take a lot of heat against Tampa Bay because I think it was Tampa Bay, and you left too much time for Tom Brady. Although, if you remember that Friday, I was mad that they didn't run the ball. Even if they got none yards, run the ball, make Tampa Bay use a timeout, use the clock. And we kind of backed off a little bit, or at least I did, because then you find out that Dak checked out of a gazillion run plays that Kellen Moore had called. Football situation is, it's not easy. I understand that. But for Rudy J and Rob Thompson to go on the radio and say, man, I can't believe that's much of a big deal. I got a problem with that, because I look at the situation. You look at the Dallas Cowboys in that situation. They had 2 timeouts. The only timeout the Cowboys used in the first half on Monday night against the Philadelphia Eagles is when they challenged unsuccessfully the touchdown that the officials got wrong. It should have been a touchdown. But they lost that challenge and lost a timeout. So you look at that series, situational football. After a sack and a penalty, Philly was facing a 2nd and 31 from their own 25 at the 2-minute warning, and you have 2 timeouts. Dallas's offense was unstoppable. They had 19 first downs in that first half. 261 yards of offense, yet the score was only 20-7. So at the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 31 from the 25, the Cowboys played a little bit of a relaxed defense, and they threw a 7-yard pass. They didn't take a timeout at 1:55. They let all that time run off. And then on 3rd down and 24, Jalen Hurts, again, soft defense, they threw a pass. It was complete for 19 yards up to midfield. Cowboys, again, did not take a timeout. Referee's like, dude, you need one of these? What are you going to do with them? And they let that whole thing go out. You had them back at the 25, pressure defense, and burn timeouts. It's not complicated football. So let's go back and think about some memory. So at the end of the half, this was McCarthy at the end of the game on Monday night.
Yeah, that was clearly the decision. It was to take the lead. Going to halftime, I was comfortable based on where the ball was at.
So he said he was comfortable based where the ball was at. At midfield, they punt. All right, you got a little bit of a long field, but if you use your timeouts, and again, an offense that had been unstoppable, when you go and you look at the numbers of Dak Prescott passing in that first half, 13 of 16 for 148 yards. Zeke had 60 yards on the ground. Tony Pollard had 56. Those were first half numbers. Why wouldn't you give your offense another possession? Because it's all about possessions. Well, then I hear Mike McCarthy this morning on R&R in the Morning with Rob Thompson and Rudy J. And Rob asked him a really good question about that offense. And at what point did you know in that game, early in that game, that your game plan was working, that everything that you had worked on was good? At what point did you go, yeah, we got this. I'm feeling good. I can be comfortable.
That's what you're really looking for early, is that just the communication, the rhythm, and that you're getting lined up and you're playing with the right tempo. And so, but as the game goes on, it's just a constant conversation. I mean, it's on both sides. So, I mean, as both sides are competing, you're reacting to what personnels are putting in the game and so forth. And then when the series is over, both coaches and players are making adjustments for the next series. So I answer your question, like you never get comfortable till the game's over because you're always competing for the next, competing and getting ready for the next series.
Unless, of course, you're not Mike McCarthy, because again, Monday night you said
going to halftime, I was comfortable based on where the ball was at.
I was comfortable then. He just said, you're never comfortable. You're always competing. You're always trying to get an extra possession. And the way Philly's offense was playing and the Cowboys' defense was playing, it doesn't mean you don't risk it there. I mean, you went too conservative in that area. Yeah, you really do. I mean, don't tell me one day you're never comfortable and the next day you do. But I know he's tired of hearing about clock management, but apparently there's clock management and then there's game management. And those are two different meetings that you have to go to during the week.
Are you sick of talking about clock management?
Well, I mean, I got a game management meeting today. I mean, it's part of the deal, and hey, that's why I got these big shoulders. You got to part of the gig. But no, I think that just to give you an honest answer, it's you have clock management, and then you have game management, and no one likes the conservative option when you take it. I fully knew what I was doing, based on the game and the other variables in the game outside of the clock. I was playing to our defense last week, and it definitely held up to be the right decision. So it was a conservative, approach here at the end of the half, and that was my decision, and I would do it again.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that you would do it again. Again, Mike McCarthy on R&R in the morning, as he is every Friday here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. And Mike McCarthy's had game management, clock management issues in the past. Ask Aaron Rodgers. I look at it, and what makes me angry is the inconsistencies. It's there are times where, if Philly had started that drive at midfield, maybe, at that point, why give them extra time? But they were backed up at their own 25-yard line at the 2-minute warning, and you've got 2 timeouts and an offense that could score at a great clip. I mean, a week before that, you were fine letting a lot of time run off the clock because you were in field goal range for a 56-yard field goal. I ain't buying it, Mike McCarthy. You screwed up the clock in L.A., and you got bailed out by a 56-yard kick by Greg the Leg, who, by the way, has missed 2 extra points already on the season. So don't tell me you were comfortable with that being field goal range. You always want to get more yards. And with an offense that is playing at the level that it is playing, why wouldn't you give yourself probably a minute 15, minute 20 if you had to use those timeouts defensively? That's assuming Jalen Hurts completes a pass there and doesn't throw an incompletion. I'm sure, though, if Cowboys would have taken a timeout, that Philly would have run the ball to try to either burn clock or get Dallas to use that final timeout. It's a chess match. And the Cowboys had better chess pieces. But you can't tell me you were at 20-7, you were comfortable. Now, I understand that 7 was a defensive touchdown because of that fumble by Dak in the end zone, and you were outplaying them. But a 2-touchdown lead is not safe. Ask Urban Meyer. You saw that last night with Cincinnati and Jacksonville. Things can change on a dime. You go use every second you can to get points. Use those timeouts. That's why they give them to you. They're useless at the end of the half. And it was on full display last night with Jacksonville and Cincinnati. End of the first half, Urban Meyer tried to get a touchdown instead of kick a field goal. He didn't get it. I didn't mind the call. He loses by 3, and he had an easy 3 in the bag. 2 times in Trevor Lawrence's life, he has lost a game when up 14 points. Joe Burrow was the quarterback on the other team both times. Urban Meyer hasn't had a 4-game losing streak since when? Trevor Lawrence now has as many losses in the NFL as he had in his entire high school and college career combined. I appreciated the aggressiveness that you saw last night from Urban Meyer, but they couldn't hold it. They showed a 2-touchdown lead is not safe. And for us longtime Dallas Cowboy fans, we know damn well a 2-touchdown lead isn't safe. I don't know that we trust our defense yet. We're going to find out tomorrow or Sunday. Cowboys and Panthers Sunday. A game you can listen to right here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. And Mike McCarthy talked about the challenges that Carolina has when he was on with R&R in the morning.
Their defense is playing at a very high level. They haven't given up much in both points and yards. So, that's our focus offensively. And then the other thing, too, is you got Sam Darnold, you got a really good perimeter group. And, this is we're still in that first 4 weeks of the season, so unscouted looks are still going to be part of it. So, we're really at the point in the week now that we've really knuckled down on what we think they're going to do. But it's time to focus on exactly how we're going to play this game and just be ready for the adjustments, because this game is going to be high in adjustments like the first 3 weeks. That's our anticipation.
Well, and it should be. And you look at this Carolina team. They're good, although we don't really know how good they are. They beat the Jets 19-14. They beat the Saints 26-7, and they beat the crap out of the Saints after the Saints had beaten the crap out of Green Bay. But that was also in Florida. Half the coaching staff was out with COVID. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that game for Carolina, just like watching Green Bay get beat by New Orleans. There are some games that just go that way. And then they beat Houston 24-9. So in their 3 games this year, their defense has allowed 14, 7, and 9. They've got statistically, not technically, the number 1 defense in the NFL right now. They've got a defense that has 14 sacks on the season. 14. Terrence Steele better be ready. Tyler Biadasz up the middle better be ready. And Dak Prescott, who is playing at such a high level, is getting the ball out of his hands right now at 2.52 seconds. I mean, that's an incredible number. And you heard Matt Rule talking about it the other day and then comparing him to Peyton Manning and to Drew Brees, which is certainly high praise. And what I love about Dak Prescott, he said, man, I appreciate that, but I still have to go out there and get better. But he's also spreading the ball around, which sucks for some fantasy football owners because you don't know where the ball is going, which sucks for fantasy, but it's great for the Cowboys. 9 different players in 3 games have at least 1 catch for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, that's an incredible number. And you think about Amari Cooper, their number 1 receiver, was targeted only 4 times last week because Philly did a good job taking him away. What did they do? They went to the tight end. They'll go to CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys have so many weapons that they're going to get a great test on Sunday. And again, we've seen Dak throw it 58 times in a game. We've seen him throw it in the 20s and good rushing the last 2 weeks between Pollard and Zeke. We don't know what we're going to see on Sunday because we don't know what Carolina is going to give, but we know Dak is going to get there. He certainly looks like he is earning all of that money that Jerry gave him this summer. And you think about Dak Prescott starting as a rookie, the progress that we've seen, and the level of football that he's playing right now. And if this keeps up, yeah, he's going to be in that MVP conversation at the end. For Jerry on 105.3, the fan up in Dallas today was asked if he's feeling justified with that contract, seeing what he's seen out of his quarterback over the first 3 games.
An outstanding guy that can win games at the key position, quarterback.
And that's exactly what it is.
Well, I don't think it's quite that necessary to express it that way, justification. There were so much that you had to accept, the least of which is that he's going to be playing at a high level. Forget the injury, although I know that's your question, but that just his level of play. Well, you always have that. Anytime you're projecting into the future, then you're betting on some knowns and maybe even a few unknowns. And so I wouldn't address his injury recovery as much as I would just address, yes, he has really shown his continued involvement into just an outstanding guy that can win games at the key position, quarterback.
And that is what you're getting out of Dak Prescott right now. It's going to be a test Sunday, noon, up there in Dallas. A game you can listen to right here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds and Ewald Kubota. The defense is also going to get tested big time. Sam Darnold. It's amazing what a good coaching staff can do for a guy. Chuba Hubbard. Not a lot of film on him. You got to go look at what he did at Oklahoma State, but we know he's good. We know that they have some talented receivers, but what they haven't done is scored a lot of points. I told you what they gave up. 14, 7, and 9. I mean, you 2 weeks in a row, you've held an opponent under 10. That's playing good defense. But they've scored 19, 26, and 24. This is one of those games where you look at the Cowboys offense, man, and say, all right, you've got to go. Because that Cowboys defense playing at a different level of intensity. And you look at some of the young players that are a bit of a surprise. And obviously Diggs in his second year playing with a ton of confidence, just got Defensive Player of the Month. He's got an interception in every game so far. Hopefully he could keep that up. Micah Parsons certainly living up to the billing. Jerry Jones compared his immediate impact as a rookie to that of Larry Allen, Hall of Famer. You talk about coming in and making an immediate impact. And Jerry went Larry Allen, which is high praise. He also went very high praise when it came to the intensity level that Micah Parsons brings to the game.
I think his intensity is there, and that comparison will get you in a lot of trouble. But I think he's got that Michael Irvin intensity. He has that Randy White. And I wasn't around Randy a lot in his playing, but boy, he's legendary in his the stories about his how he approached it and how business he was about it. And that to me is the exciting part of Micah, is that he not only has inordinate talent and everything to go with it, he really has the mental makeup. And it's going to be a real exciting time of it, watching him evolve as a player in the NFL. And of course, what he can do for the Cowboys at the end of the day, the thing that makes a player is, can they help their team win? And that's almost trite to say when you see his contributions and think about what they may be in the future.
It's going to be great to watch this kid develop through the years. We'll talk more Cowboys coming up in about an hour at 5:30. Jon Machota from The Athletic will join us. Aggies have a big one coming up tomorrow. After what happened to A&M last week against Arkansas, they got Mike Leach coming to town in Mississippi State. We'll talk to Andrew Monaco, the voice of the Aggies, coming up at 5 o'clock, talking about college football. Texas and TCU tomorrow morning in the Alamo Dome at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Tailgating, I don't know what time I'm getting down there, but I'm getting pumped up to head down to the Dome tomorrow to watch UTSA and UNLV play. Yes, I'm going to that game. We've been telling you, I hope that the Dome is packed tomorrow. Last time they tried to pack the Dome, they got 16,000, which was the same as the last time. Can they get 25? I mean, maybe I shouldn't be so greedy. Can they get 20? Then we need to get to 25. The tailgating is incredible. Can't wait for the tailgating. We'll talk about UTSA as well with their big game against UNLV. Well, let's talk some NBA. Ben Simmons woke up this morning expecting a direct deposit for $8 million and change. It wasn't there. Philadelphia didn't send the direct deposit in. I wonder how rich people like that do it. I mean, do you go get a forklift and pick up your check? Or do you open up your app and see that it's been deposited into your account and then celebrate? I don't know what that would be like. I'd like to know one day. I think that'd be a lot of fun just to see all those zeros pop up in your account. Although I can't imagine the scare it would be if those numbers didn't show up in the account. I don't know. But Bobby Marks, ESPN's NBA front office insider, former assistant GM with the Nets, had an interesting article about 6 teams that check all the boxes to get Ben Simmons. One of those teams is the San Antonio Spurs. Bobby Marks will join us next here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Let me tell you about Ancira Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram Truck, part of the Ancira Itonado Complex. If you're shopping for a new vehicle, there's no better place to go than Ancira, and I can tell you that firsthand because I am a longtime Ancira customer. Through the years, I've bought many vehicles from Ancira, and it's because of their great customer service before, during, and most importantly, after the sale. When you start the car buying process, they're going to make sure you're getting the vehicle you want that has all the options and features that you're looking for. They will give you great value on your trade-in, the best rebates and financing options that are available, and their service after the sale is second to none. And if you get a new vehicle in September, you're going to get a couple of tickets to a UTSA Roadrunner football game. You know Price made Ancira number one. Price keeps Ancira number one. So think Ancira. Ancira Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram Truck, part of the Ancira Itonado Complex on I-10 West between Wurzbach and Huebner. Bobby Marks joins us next, right after we get a Sports Center update from James Pleasure. What?
Thanks a lot, Jason. Taking a look at the action this weekend. The 2-1 Cowboys hit the field Sunday as they take on the 3-0 Carolina Panthers. Kickoff set for noon on Sunday, a game you can catch right here on your home for the Dallas Cowboys right after the Fantasy Gods from 11 to noon. The 1-2 Houston Texans also play at noon as they head to Buffalo to take on the 2-1 Bills. Houston will be without linebacker Zach Cunningham and defensive tackle Ross Blacklock, who are both placed on the reserve COVID-19 list today. In college football, the 3-1 Longhorns head to Fort Worth to take on the 2-1 TCU Horned Frogs with kickoff set for 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. The 3-1 Texas Tech Red Bears look to bounce back from their loss to Texas as they head to Morganton to take on the 2-1 West Virginia Mountaineers at 2:30. The 3-1 and 15th ranked Texas A&M Aggies look to bounce back from their loss to Arkansas as they welcome Mike Leach and the 2-2 Mississippi State Bulldogs into College Station for a 6 o'clock kick, a game you can catch over on our brother station, 550 KTSA and FM 1071. It all starts at 5 o'clock with the pregame, and don't forget, Andrew Monaco, the voice of the Texas A&M Aggies, will join the Blitz coming up at 5 o'clock. The 4-0 UTSA
Call into the
Roadrunners.
show on the Kielbasa Bacon phone lines. 656
Thank
ESPN.
you, big voice guy.
That's 656-3776.
Absolutely.
He needed to get that in. They play at 5 when they take on 0-4 UNLV.
ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Hey, Texas fans. Coors Light, the official beer partner of the Texas Longhorns and San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN invite you to join us for the annual Red River Showdown viewing party at Ojos Locos Cantina on Northwest Loop 410, Saturday, October 9th.
That's right. R&R in the morning will broadcast live from 9 to 11. Texas and OU. Kickoff will get going at 11. Get there early. Enjoy some great food, great Coors Light tailgate prizes, and great Coors Light drink specials. Don't miss the Red River Showdown. Ojos Locos Cantina, Saturday, October the 9th. The party starts at 9.
When you need an electrician, Hill Electric is available 24/7 for residential and commercial needs. If you're having to rework your office, let Hill Electric design your socially distanced space to ensure each workstation has the proper electrical needs. For over 35 years, the family-owned Hill Electric has served San Antonio. There is never a service charge and always free estimates. Call Hill Electric at 210-404-9074. That's 404-9074, or go to hill-electric.com.
Guys, stop what you're doing. Give me a few seconds of your time and let me give you a piece of advice that will change your love life forever. Have you noticed you've been losing a little pep in your step? Has your lady friend asked you, is everything okay? Do you find yourself having trouble rising for the occasion? Do you stress out before that special moment and wonder, is it gonna work? Guys, I'm going to let you in on a big secret. You don't ever have to worry again. The Mojo Male Enhancement Formula has you covered. Mojo is the 100% guaranteed male enhancement formula that guarantees lasting success, if you know what I mean. The Mojo Male Enhancement Formula is safe, natural, and effective every single time, guaranteed. Mojo is available in a fast-acting spray and a quick-action capsule. Do yourself and her a favor and call Pure Line Nutrition in San Antonio today. They'll get you set up for success. Call 210-494-2210. That number again is 210-494-2210. Mojo Male Enhancement, only available at Pure Line Nutrition.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
According to TxDOT, on average, one motorcyclist dies every day on Texas roads. If you or a loved one were injured in a motorcycle crash, call Thomas J. Henry. To learn more or start your claim today, visit tjhlaw.com/radio. San Antonio, Texas.
Injuries happen, so if you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries and has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There is no reason to be in pain. If you are hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Learn more at TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com, or schedule your appointment by calling 210-804-5490.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents.
And Doug. Don't you just love the smell of old books? Shh, this is a library. Sorry, ma'am. We're looking for a book titled Liberty Mutual Customizes Your Car Insurance so you only pay for what you need. I don't think we carry that, but check nonfiction. He really does devour literature. Please leave. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
With confusion around vaccinations, masks, and public screenings, it's important to know the symptoms of COVID and its variants. Fever is the leading sign, so make sure you use an accurate thermometer for your family. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Non-contact thermometers have no clinical evidence behind them and cannot be relied on. Be vigilant and be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Second to takes. The Blitz with Jason Minix and Sports Insiders. San Antonio Sports Star. ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. Maybe you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Glad to have you along on this Friday afternoon. Yesterday, there was an article on ESPN.com by Bobby Marks. It was the 6 NBA teams that check all the boxes for Ben Simmons. One of those teams, the San Antonio Spurs. Let's talk about it with Bobby Marks, the ESPN front office insider, NBA front office insider, former assistant GM with the Nets. Bobby, how's your Friday?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Before we get into your article yesterday, staying on Ben Simmons, the Sixers did not give him the $8 million that he was due today, 25%. They put it in an escrow account. Knucklehead question, but I'm curious. Sure. How do guys like that get paid? Is it direct deposit? Do they get a check? I mean, just out of curiosity, like, did he get up today, check his bank account to see if the $8 million went through?
Yeah, there wasn't anything that said pending, right? I don't think there was. I think he checked it, and there was nothing there. And yeah, I mean, it's players. Ben's contract is unique just because of he makes $33 million, and what they were able to do is he got 25% of it in advance on July 1. The other 25% was supposed to be paid in advance today, October 1st, and then the balance of 50% is paid over 12 installments during a year. So, I mean, he was if he was in training camp today, if he was in a Sixers uniform, then this morning at some time that 8.2, minus whatever taxes would have been sitting in his, his checking or savings account here. But what the Sixers were able to do is they put that money in an escrow account, and every time he misses a game or every time he misses a practice, that $8.25 million will get reduced. So once he misses a game on Monday, the preseason game, it's minus $227,000. So it kind of just protects the organization that they don't have to chase him down to recoup that money down the road if he is traded.
Oh, when you think about it like that, and again, I don't know what it's like to have that kind of money in my account or get a deposit like that. I know what it would. If I saw those numbers, it would be a great day. If I was expecting it, it didn't show up, it probably ruined my day. And what you're saying, it does make sense on the part of the Sixers, although it does indicate that he will never play for Philadelphia again. It's like that bridge is burning as we speak. But at the same time, does the contract say they have to pay him and then figure out other ways to go the fine route? I'm assuming with all the lawyers involved that putting it in an escrow account is not in breach of contract.
Yeah, I mean, I think it isn't. I think that's why if they hadn't put it in the escrow account and they just said, we're not paying you at all, then I think, then we're getting into a breach of contract. I think the escrow account protects them. He's just, as I said, he's one of the rare players. Most NBA players are paid starting November 15th over the course of the year. Some are paid in 6 months, where he's got in advance. So, if Ben Simmons is traded, let's say next week to San Antonio, well, the Spurs would have to reimburse the Sixers that 25% that was paid back in July 1, that $8.2 million, because it is considered an advance that Philadelphia has paid already.
Interesting. And you talk about the trade to San Antonio, which is why I wanted to have you on the show today as we visit with Bobby Marks, the ESPN NBA front office insider. Your article yesterday, the 6 teams that check the boxes. And let's just focus on San Antonio for a minute. We'll talk about the other 5 teams. Because, Bobby, I go back and forth whether I want the Spurs to pursue a trade for Ben Simmons or I don't. Tell me, and fans, why you would want him and what it would cost, and is that worth it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we lose sight on how good of a player he is. I think everything's been overshadowed by what happened during the playoffs. You still have a player that's got 4 years, $147 million, is probably one of the top defenders in the league. I think he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year, is an all-star. I think if he has the right offense around him, I think he'll play at a high level. So I think it's almost like the player that was injured and now all of a sudden you see him, you're like, you know what, that guy was good. I think that's my case for Ben Simmons, that, it's a rare player that you won't be able to get in the free agent market. But at the other end of the spectrum, it will cost you because he's not a free agent here. So I think it's just a matter of what you're willing to give up. If it's your one of your 2 guards with, certainly with Murray or White, I wouldn't put, certainly Keldon Johnson into the conversation. I think he's a keeper. But you have, you've got veterans, you've got, Thaddeus, you got it in that trade, who's a valuable asset, either in the Sixer type trade or down the road, because he can help a playoff team. You've got draft picks to move. And you, as I said, you've basically have built this roster through the draft here. But the hard part is that, and I said this on TV earlier, is that everyone is still in that kind of extended honeymoon period where everyone likes their roster, where everyone's trying to figure out what they have with their roster, where they're not willing to kind of jump into the Ben Simmons type sweepstakes right now. It could be, come November 15th and, Pop's looking at his roster and say, you know what? I don't like where we are with our guards. Let's see what maybe the cost is going to be. I think that's where I think we'll see probably a little more action than we are right now.
Bobby, when you think about Daryl Morey's asking price, a lot of picks, and probably some players. Will he ultimately get what he's looking for, or is Daryl Morey asking for too much in a front office opinion?
I don't think there's a perfect trade out there. I don't think there's a James Harden type package of what they'll get that, Houston, with 3 unprotected, 4 pick swaps, some players. I don't see that out there. I think you're probably looking at more like what New Orleans thought when they moved Drew Holiday to Milwaukee last offseason, when you're looking at probably 2 starter type players with, at the time, Eric Bledsoe, guys like George Hill, some unprotected picks, maybe a pick swap here. I think the hard part is that when you look at the teams on the list, and it's certainly, with San Antonio, and I have Cleveland on there, New Orleans, teams like that, especially, San Antonio and Cleveland, where the expectation level is, Minnesota's on there too. The expectation level is that you're likely not a playoff or top 6 team. So to start giving away unprotected picks, you've got to figure out, does Ben Simmons get us into that top 7, top 8? Because it leaves you certainly exposed. When you're moving, and if you're moving unprotected ones, I've seen it before, been firsthand, where that pick might be the 3rd pick in the draft, the 4th pick in the draft, and that's a big risk there.
It certainly is. Bobby Marks joining us here on the Blitz, talking about the possibilities of Ben Simmons and the Spurs. Bobby, a couple of the reasons why I don't want San Antonio to go after this, and I think, it's Spurs fans that interact with the show, it's the same arguments. He's going to take a lot of picks, and we're in a rebuild mode, so we don't want to give up future picks because you need those if you're going to rebuild. And we like a lot of the young players that we have. We want to see how they develop and build around them. And I think the other part of it, too, we don't know how long Pop is going to be the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, but also it doesn't seem like Ben Simmons is a San Antonio type of guy. And so if he's traded here, he plays out his contract and then he's gone. So you're delaying the rebuild for the next 5, 6, 8 years. Is that the kind of conversations that they would be having in the Spurs front office? Is it worth it for the short-term gain for which might be a playoff seed, 6, 7, 8 seed, maybe by adding Ben Simmons to this group? But if you add him to the group and you lose, say, a Derek or a DeJounte and a Lonnie Walker, are you really that much of a better team?
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways to look at it. If Ben Simmons was a free agent this offseason or next offseason and you had $35 million in cap space, I think San Antonio would make a run for it. I really do. I think, but as I said, when you get into the trade game, the cost is going to be high. That's the hard part. That's the hard part of making a decision like that, where it's going to probably cost you 2 players, two of your young, nice players. It's going to cost you a guy like Thaddeus, who I mentioned, that maybe you can get something down the road for when we get closer to trade deadline, draft picks. And teams rarely make that type of deal when you're kind of in that rebuilding, retooling, type of mode.
The other part of it is the reputation that Ben Simmons has. And you probably know better than most traveling within those circles, but the public reputation is he doesn't spend enough time in the gym. He travels with a big group around him that always tell him yes. And the number one rule with Greg Popovich is check your ego at the door. And apparently he carries his in a backpack. Would he even fit in San Antonio?
Well, that's the big thing. I mean, we're in year 6 with Ben, I think, in the league. And so my question, if I'm the Spurs front office and Brian Wright, is why is it different here in San Antonio compared to what just happened in Philadelphia? Like, what makes things much better with the situation compared to what he is leaving here? And certainly maybe, different environment here, but what's not to say a year from now, San Antonio is in the same position Philadelphia is in. You just don't know. And I mean, this situation is so unprecedented that I've never seen it before. I've never seen a player who's under contract for 4 years, $147 million, is holding out of training camp. Maybe it's a player who's unhappy with his contract. Maybe we saw Jimmy Butler a couple of years ago because, he thought he was getting a new deal here and stuff like that. But this is new for all of us. And, the one thing I think what the league is going to do, and they're kind of sitting back and watching this, they don't want this to become a trend. They don't want this to become a trend going forward here. So I think that's the thing with, as far as, going back with San Antonio, is that, what makes it so different that we're going to give up a lot, and a year from now, the situation might be the same as it is right now in Philadelphia.
And, the scars of Kawhi Leonard still linger all over San Antonio when it comes to situations like that. Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider for ESPN, joining us here on the Blitz. I look at the situation, the asking price, all the pieces there. Ultimately, when this gets done, and it will get done at some point, how many teams do you think will be involved in the trade just to make it palatable for everybody involved?
Yeah, I mean, you saw at least in the Harden trade, I mean, it was 4, right? So it's rarely that you're going to go 1 for 1 here, 2 teams involved, and it's a matter of if you are if you're making a trade and Philadelphia says, well, no, I don't like Derek White, or I don't like Deontay Murray. Find me another team to get. And those are the 3 and 4 team and gets to multiple players. Those are the hard ones. It's extremely hard to pull off because once a team pulls out of a deal, it's like a stack of cards, right? I mean, it just kind of crumbles and the trade goes away, and then you're kind of back to square one. So whenever this does get resolved, I think it will be, 3 or 4 teams, multiple players going different ways. I just don't know when that date's going to be. I don't know if it's I don't think it's going to be before the season. I don't think it's going to be by November 1st. I mean, people are talking that maybe it's December 15th when, the restrictions on some of these free agents are lifted here. And by that time, I mean, it will have cost him probably, $7-8 million.
I look at what Ben's willing to sit out and pay all these fines. And then you see Kyrie and Wiggins that might not be able to play in home games, and they're going to lose, $15-18 million respectively if they can't play in their home games. But they already have so much money.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's not a big enough penalty. Like they're not motivated by losing $8 million today, or I might lose $15 million throughout the season. It's created a problem that I don't think many realized would be it, because most of us are motivated by money.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what happens when, I think you've got 10% of the league where, guys are making $25-30 million. And for Simmons, who's already made over 100 in his career, $5 million is not much to him. I mean, it might be 20 years from now, when he's not playing basketball anymore, or Kyrie or Andrew Wiggins. But the financial penalty is big for a player making $7-8 million. But when you're the 2 guys who are unvaccinated who could miss game paychecks, it's not as much as a financial penalty. And I don't think there's not much the league can do. I mean, I think certainly with the Simmons situation, just because we've as I said, we've never really encountered it, and there's language in the collective bargaining agreement that does protect the team, but not until they start missing games.
I look at that, and with the Woj report that the league's at 95%, knowing LeBron is now vaccinated, I'm not going to be surprised if Adam Silver makes that mandatory when it comes to vaccinations. That, or you're going to see the Nets and the Warriors playing for the 5th or 6th seed, so they could have those guys for 4 games as opposed to the 3 the games that they would miss at home. Right? They want to be the road team in the postseason.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the hard part too is that for players in Brooklyn or New York or Golden State is that you're not allowed to practice. The Nets get a reprieve this week because they're in San Diego having training camp. If they were in Brooklyn, Kyrie Irving wouldn't be allowed to step on the court. So that makes it extremely difficult. The same with Andrew Wiggins and Golden State. I don't know how you can't, how you play a player who is not available for home games and can't practice. That just doesn't add up. And hopefully, when we get closer to the start of the season, that 95% number gets closer to 100%.
Or get right at 100%, or you go from there. But I could see, we're close enough to where I think Adam Silver could make that move and get the support from everybody involved, especially knowing LeBron is in there. Bobby Marks, always appreciate the insight. Your knowledge is fantastic. Love reading you on ESPN. Thanks for the time on a Friday.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Bobby Marks. Make sure you're following him on Twitter. I mean, you talk about the great NBA reporters out there, and Woj and Shams and all them. Bobby Marks on Twitter is fantastic, especially his work that shows up at ESPN.com. Follow him at Bobby Marks 42 is his Twitter account. Really good stuff there. We'll talk to Andrew Monaco about the Aggies' big game coming up. UTSA has a big game as well. Texas, TCU. Bigger than you think. We'll get into all of that. And then, of course, the NFL games on Sunday. If you're playing fantasy sports, you need to download the app Underdog Fantasy or go to their website, UnderdogFantasy.com. It is the best new place to play fantasy sports with daily and season-long fantasy sports. They got an NFL pick'em game. That pick'em game, I'm doing it every week. It's fantastic. Although last night I had a 3 parlay going that I did not hit, because Jamar Chase did not score a touchdown. That's the one I missed on. I didn't make any money last night, but I will this weekend. Pick any 2 to 5 player props, parlay together, and you can win up to 20 times on your entry in one night. Your over-under, pick whether a player is going to go over or under a given stat line in their games. They got a rivals pick. It's a lot of fun. Sign up today. Use promo code RADIO. Make your first deposit and receive a free $25 in bonus cash. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store and register with promo code RADIO to get $25 cash for free with your first deposit. Download the app today. Start playing today. Just use that promo code RADIO at sign-up. Terms and conditions apply. Download the mobile app or go online at UnderdogFantasy.com.
The top teams, the thundering dunks, the last-second shots.
Fade away 3, goal!
Get the latest NBA preseason news, opinions, and analysis on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Happy hour is back at Twin Peaks, and we're offering up more than just great drinks. Score yourself some chips and salsa for just $2. Your choice of mozzarella cheese bites, chips and queso, or fried pickles, where they're just $4. And the triple play quesadillas or 6 boneless wings. That's right, only $6. Each of these epic appetizers are craveable, shareable, and delicious. And what a deal. Happy hour at Twin Peaks just got better. See you Monday through Friday, 2 to 7 p.m. Again at late night. Get to Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, and those scenic views.
1911 Cigars is the premier cigar lounge in South Texas, providing quality, affordable cigars in a professional, inviting environment with a large covered patio with TVs. A BYOB establishment, 1911 Cigars strives to allow the avid cigar connoisseur a comfortable place to relax, socialize, network, and of course enjoy a great cigar. 1911 Cigars is available for private events and has private cabanas with TVs, fire pits, and heaters. 1911 Cigars at 207 South Main Street in Cibolo. Online at 1911cigars.com.
Welcome to Texas, where the sun is beaming down and can damage the interior of your car, even in lower temperatures. Unless you go to Mother's Window Tint, home of the Tint and Alarm Special, where you can also buy a new car stereo since 1984.
1984? That's impressive.
Mother's Window Tint has tinted cars and trucks to stop the sun from damaging their interiors. Texans like dark privacy window tint. Come to Mother's and get some. Legal and guaranteed a lifetime. Remember to protect yourself and your family. Buy an alarm today from Mother's. Starter kill, remote start, GPS locator, 24-hour live monitoring. Save $100 on the tint and alarm package of your choice. San Antonio and Austin stores. MothersWindowTint.com.
Remember, do it at Mother's and save.
If you and your spouse went from I do to I don't, it may be time to walk down a new aisle. Call DivorceDude.com at 210-201-0303 and ask for Mark, the Divorce Dude with Polling Law PLLC. DivorceDude.com can help you get a fast, affordable, agreed divorce. But if you want to fight, the Divorce Dude can fight for you. DivorceDude.com gives you easy legal options and sticks with you every step of the way. If the marriage is over, why fight? DivorceDude.com.
Pro football season's here, and pro roofers save valuable time with Beacon Pro Plus. Beacon Pro Plus works 24/7 for material ordering, order history, and automated promotion tracking, so you can get your favorite GAF roofing products even when working remotely. And now, order on Beacon Pro Plus and get a $175 gift card and a chance for a VIP pro football getaway. Gear up and raise your game with Beacon Pro Plus today. Build, score, and win at BECN.com.
Do you have what it takes to be San Antonio's next sports star? Rock the Mic is back. The competition begins October 18th on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
We've got the damn mic, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM, 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Great football Friday. You're on the Blitz. I'm Jason Minix. You can get me on Twitter at Jason Minix. Pledge is producing at I Am Pledger. Here at Hero Stadium, our Hill Electric game of the week tonight. Reagan and Madison. Kind of like last week. It's the game of the week in the Express News. KSAT's here. Just saw Joe Reinagel in the brightest pink shirt I think I've ever seen. He shot me a text, Pledge, and says, tell Pledger I'm going to kick his ass in fantasy football this weekend.
Bring it.
All right. You might want to I mean, that's all you got. All right.
I mean, I'm 0-3. I can't talk a whole lot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wait, so am I. Although our league commissioner sucks. I somehow got locked on my lineup last week, and
you mean the league commissioner that ended up with the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, that dude who was somehow apparently with you at the bar and not working on trying to figure out why. He was like, I don't know what to tell you. Dude, I was trying to make changes to my lineup and couldn't, and lost to Rob by 3 points. It's all right.
I think I smell a fix.
There's no doubt but there's no money in this league, so who cares? I mean, that's kind of how it goes. You think about this weekend for college football. Couple of really big games that I realize not a lot of us care about the Battle of the Piney Woods, but Sam Houston State, Stephen F. Austin tomorrow at NRG Stadium, Texas TCU. That's going to be an interesting game that we'll get into in a little bit, because TCU has owned Texas since Gary Patterson has been the head coach and they came to the Big 12. It's embarrassing that TCU has owned Texas the way they have. UTSA against UNLV tomorrow in the Dome. Don't eat the cheese, but pack the Dome. And UTSA is favored by a lot, almost scary, the points. But there's another story brewing out there. We talked about it a while ago when Greg Doyle said that there was some interest in the American Conference about UTSA, along with UNT and several other schools. Well, the American, because they're losing a couple of teams to the Big 12, they want to fill their cupboard. And they've already been turned down by Boise and San Diego State, and apparently Air Force and Colorado State are going to stay in the Mountain West. So the American Athletic Conference, the AC, which is a good conference, the next step for a team like UTSA, maybe that opens the door for UTSA. Does it matter if they weren't the first invite or the second or third? No, it really doesn't. I'm not offended by that. I don't blame the American for looking for various parts where they could gain traction. But they do need to be in Texas. And if they're going to lose Houston to the Big 12, why not replace them with San Antonio? Well, a lot of that goes to, what's the fan attendance like in San Antonio? 16? That's why we need to pack the Dome tomorrow. That's why we need 25, 30 in the Dome tomorrow. If the Commanders can do it in the Alliance, and they topped 30 once, they tickled 30 a couple of times, would have had 40 if they didn't shut down because Johnny Manziel was coming the week that they pulled the plug on that thing. But that is another reason why you need to get some tickets and go to the Dome tomorrow. They're looking, and attendance matters. Attendance does matter for things like that. Just another reason why you need to go to the Dome. That, and you're going to see a fun football team. But if you're looking to invite somebody and they've got 16 and 16 and they're winning, that's not a good look. That's not a good look for those that don't know. You got to pack the Dome. Go to the Dome tomorrow. And
it's not just a good football team. It's a good football team with good local homegrown talent like Sincere McCormick and Rashad Wisdom and who am I forgetting here? Frank Harris.
Yeah, there you go. There's about 30 guys from the 2-0.
Triangle of toughness, baby.
That is on that UTSA football team, and a gazillion kids from the state of Texas. But you think about, it's not just going out and supporting those guys, and it is, but you also add in there's conference alignment. There's steps up the ladder that UTSA can take, and it's going to be more impressive if they've got big attendance numbers. That factors in. Go to the Dome tomorrow. Tickets are cheap. Ticketmaster service charges suck, but the tickets are cheap. Mine were $13 a pop. I mean, $26. You go down there with the service fees, it was 40 something, but still, go to the game. Go to the game and enjoy. And what's great is you think about all the games that are going to be on TV tomorrow leading up to. Best place to go watch those games at the Roo Pub. They're at 281 in Redland Road. There is no better place in San Antonio to watch a game of any kind than at the Roo Pub. If you're an Aggie, It's an Aggie-owned place. That's a great. They always have their Aggie watch parties. Longhorns play at 11. A lot of Longhorns going to be in there as well. They've got those 370-inch laser TVs that are just incredible, and they've got a great kitchen. Their food at the Roo Pub is fantastic. They got the biggest wings in town. They got about 15 different burgers on the menu, wraps, salads. For, if you're into that, appetizers, get the Philly cheesesteak fries, and their onion rings are incredible. And I highly recommend that you get the onion rings and dip them in their barbecue sauce. You might give me the eye roll now, but trust me, that will change your life. And that kitchen is open late till 2 a.m. every day with a full menu available. The Roo Pub has all the beers, full bar, best place to watch the game for lunch, for dinner, for late at night, and watching the game, man. No better place than the Roo Pub, right next to the Angry Elephant, 281 in Redland Road. We will see you at the Roo. We'll talk some Aggies coming up. Andrew Monaco joins us next on the Blitz.
Didn't catch R&R in the morning? Here's what you missed.
Why don't you just be that guy and wear the knee brace?
I can't. I'm not going to be that guy. How about the copper fix? That's snake oil, man.
You feel like it's a fake?
Yes. Those commercials with Brett Favre and Jerry Rice wearing back braces and elbow. No, you're just selling product, man. And as soon as they walk off, they got some kind of weird little razor that does your nose hair and your pubes. I'm sorry, dude.
Rob Thompson, Rudy J. Weekday morning 7 to 10 on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Not all pizza places are the same. Mellow Mushroom originated hand-tossed, stone-baked classic Southern pizza. Not in the mood for pizza? Order a calzone, hoagie, sandwich, burger, or a mellow salad and see how care goes into every item on the menu. Take your pick from 24 draft beers and or handcrafted cocktails. And many of the pizzas can be made gluten-free or vegan. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 in Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron. BetOnline.net is your number one spot for all the pro and college football odds and news this season. Get all the updated info on players, teams, and odds to help you with your new football contests, leagues, and new survivor pools. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports, pro sports, MMA, championship boxing, golf, horse racing, they have it all. Bring the game home with BetOnline.net, where the game starts.
At Enrique Custom Vision, you'll find some people just aren't good candidates for Z-LASIK. That's why they have different technologies for different patients. They are a custom vision center focused on helping people get rid of their glasses and contacts. Rudy J here. Call them today for a complimentary consultation to see what's right for you. Financing is offered to all FSA and medical spending accounts accepted. Get treated like family by Dr. Manrique. Call 354-2020 for the Manrique difference. That's 354-2020.
Hey, sports bettors, I'm talking to you. This is Rob Thompson here to tell you about my favorite sports book. That's BetUS. Football's here. You need to be playing it. It's been a great couple of weeks. Why not start now? Well, BetUS is the best place to start because they've been around for 25 years. That's the integrity I'm looking for with the longevity. You need a sports book that offers everything, including live betting, MMA, golf, horses, esports, you name it. They've got it. To join, it's so easy. Call today, 1-800-79-BET-US. Again, 1-800-79-BET-US. And when you dial it, remember this, KZDC. If you tell them KZDC, that's us, you're going to get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Nobody does that. I bet at BetUS, so should you. I want you to join BetUS.com today. Call them right now. Start betting with America's favorite sportsbook. And remember to use KZDC for up to 200% in bonuses. BetUS.com. It's where the game begins.
Live, local, loud. KZDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Jason Minix, The Blitz.
It is The Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. If you're listening online at sasportstar.com, watching on YouTube, on Facebook, always appreciate you joining us here on a Football Friday. Andrew Monaco, the voice of the Aggies, joining us now. And Andrew, before we get into it, our producer, James Pledger, is having an aneurysm because I forgot to do a giveaway in the last segment. So I got to do the giveaway before we start our conversation or he's going to lose his mind. The The Big Texas Comic-Con is coming. Are you a Comic-Con type, Andrew Monaco?
No, absolutely not. No.
Me neither. It ain't for me, but I know the people that love this, they love it. They dress up, they do all that. The Big Texas Comic-Con, it says in my copy, the pop culture event of the year, October 8th through the 10th at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. Ticket holders also get meet and greet opportunities with all kinds of famous people. Couple dudes from Cobra Kai are going to be there, wrestlers, all that kind of stuff. Since we're talking to Andrew Monaco.
Yeah.
Let's give those to caller number 12 right now at 656 ESPN, 656-3776 on the Kia Bossa Bacon phone lines. Caller number 12, you get a pair of tickets to the Big Texas Comic-Con. Thanks, Andrew, for letting me get some of the housekeeping done on your time.
Absolutely. I totally understand, my friend. You know what I love is you got the people saying I don't like Comic-Con are probably the same people who paint their face their favorite team's colors, and they're making fun of somebody else. That's the thing that always gets me.
Well, that's it. You know, if I'm doing it, it's cool. If I'm not doing it, it's like, what the hell are you guys thinking? Right? I mean, you know, it's the shirtless fat guy at the football game with something painted on his belly, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And only he could find like another 7 fat guys so they could spell something out together. So
that's exactly what it is. Well, last week our conversation was very upbeat and positive. How's the week been up there in College Station after that? As our friend Clint Sterner called it, an Arkansas skull dragging of the Aggies.
Yeah. Clint wasn't talking the previous 9 years, was he?
No.
I guess if he, you know what, we can let Clint do that. If it's going to be every 9 years, they're going to win. Hey, look, Jason, you know how sports is. Aggies need a brand new coach, right? They're never going to win.
Glad he got the extension 2 weeks ago and not this week.
Yeah. What the heck were you thinking? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. No, you know what? Stuff came back to bite them, and it's interesting. You'll hear it tomorrow on our broadcast. Details matter, Jason, and the details came back. Arkansas had the details, and Texas A&M did not in that game. And despite falling in that 17-0 hole, they gave themselves a chance. Ultimately, not just running out of time, but running out of those opportunities. But Arkansas hit every big play. The Texas A&M defense did not adjust until they were 17 points down. Terrific fourth down stop. Line finally opened up for Isaiah Spiller in the 67-yard touchdown. But, you know, it was just Arkansas did things better than Texas A&M. And that was the message this week of really playing together. And Jimbo has mentioned, see, I asked him, was Colorado a wake-up call? And he said, I hope so. And I don't know if it was, Jason. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure it was. But this feeling of after a loss is a bad feeling. And sometimes it takes that. And Jimbo said on his coach's show this week, don't waste a loss. Learn from it. Be honest with yourself. Make those corrections. That's what's got to happen, because this is a Mississippi State team that I know they're 2-2, could just as easily be 4-0. And if this team looks at just the record, they're going to be in a whole world of hurt. But I think the message was there. I heard that after that game in Arkansas, Isaiah Spiller was the one who said he does not want to have that feeling again. Hopefully that resonated with the rest of the team.
The one thing that I heard from Spiller after the game that I honestly did not like was we beat ourselves. No respect to the opponent, that basically A&M beat themselves into that game. And watching it, I mean, yeah, there were a lot of mistakes made, but I don't know that that's the kind of game where you say, yeah, we beat ourselves in this one.
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from. He may have phrased it incorrectly. They didn't make the plays. Obviously, they didn't make a play on a Treylon Burks 85-yard touchdown. They don't make a play on a 48-yard swing pass that A.J. Green scores when you have an Aggie defender pushing, not tackling. If it's those types of things, having balls go through your hands that are passed by Zach Calzada, maybe not finding a hole, maybe not blocking downfield. I think I would say, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, I really don't. Maybe it's, hey, we didn't do what we were supposed to do. And Arkansas did, and I will not take that away from the Razorbacks. That was a team that has a lot of experience, and they played like a team with a lot of experience. And we've talked about this before.
when you have that low number next to your name, you better get ready for everybody to take their best shot at you. That's what's different. Last year's team, one, was last year's team. Two, last year's team put these expectations on these guys. But this is why these freshmen came here to be a part of it. But you have to understand all the responsibility that goes with that. You've got to play your best. You got to win your space. You got to play together. You got to block for your running backs. You got to protect your quarterback. You know, it's all those things come in there. Just because you have a number 5 or a number 7 or now number 15 next to your name doesn't mean you get any extra points going out on that field. And I think that's what they're learning.
Yeah, they certainly are. And hopefully they learn quick before tomorrow night having a home game. And if the offense shows up, then it could be a good get-right game heading into a tough October. But I am starting to be a little concerned about the offense. Well, we know even with Haynes King, the first half against Kent State wasn't exactly pretty, but they got it together. They got 10 points against Colorado. New Mexico was New Mexico, but then only 10 points last week against Arkansas. Against better D1 programs, they're not scoring.
And relying on the defense, and when the defense wasn't there, then it put a little more pressure on the offense. And it's got to be complementary football. You have to have both. And that's why I'm intrigued by getting Layden Robinson back on the offensive line. He will be back at right guard. You're going to see Kenyon Green move to left guard. So you're going to have Kenyon Green and now Layden Robinson flanking Bryce Foster as your center. Keep Jameer Johnson, the grad from Tennessee, on that left tackle, and Reuben Fothery is going to be at that right tackle spot. So they reconfigured that offensive line a little bit. You certainly hope that if Zach Calzada can hand off to Isaiah, can hand off to Devon A-Chain, take some of that pressure away, get a little bit of a running game going, maybe some nice, I don't want to say safe, but some throws that get him confidence. If you remember, Zach, in that start against New Mexico, the first throw was a little slant to Chase Lane. Again, can you get that confidence going? That would do wonders and take some of that pressure off. What I found interesting this week, Jalen Weidemeyer said, look, Zach's the quarterback, and we are behind him 100%. And you're always going to have that from this team, whether it's Haynes King or Zach Calzada. And I think another week of practice of Zach with that new line, getting some kind of rhythm. And you can't forget, he's getting some kind of rhythm as well with his wide receivers. They don't always get that. They had some of it in the 7-on-7. You don't always get that, but he's starting to get that with those guys, know who he can go to, who's kind of comfortable. Similar to Kellen Mond and Chase Lane, who were roommates last year, or Kellen and Jamon Osborne. You can get that. I hope that comes to fruition tomorrow against Mississippi State.
Andrew Monaco, voice of the Texas A&M Aggies, with us here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm not sold on Zach Calzada at this point. I'm glad to know that the team is behind him. I'm curious because there's already a lot of rumblings from my Aggie friends wanting to know who the backup is and how long until Haynes is ready to go. With what we saw last week in Oklahoma, with a guy like Spencer Rattler and the fans, especially from the student section, booing him and chanting Caleb for the Oklahoma backup quarterback, if that were to happen in College Station, does Zach Calzada have the mental makeup to handle it?
Oh, good question. That would be something that I'm not sure has ever happened at Kyle Field. You know what I mean?
Andrew, I was stunned to hear it, as was Kirk Herbstreit calling the game, that was happening. And, and it's college football. It's Spencer Rattler, and they were chanting when they were struggling. And, of course, Spencer then drove him down and they won the game. He didn't have a great game. But in today's world, I don't know if anything would surprise me now, and that would surprise me at A&M. But every Aggie friend I know is already off the Zach Calzada bandwagon.
Yeah, so they're on the Blake Boast bandwagon. They're
on whoever's next.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because there's no better job in the world than the backup who never takes a snap.
Exactly.
When the backup does take the snap, yeah, I get it. You know what? Interesting. As I've thought about this a little more, if that were to happen at Kyle Field, I think it would just rally this team and Zach's teammates even more around Zach Calzada. I find that interesting. again, that's the world we live in. I get it. It's, Haynes King, Zach Calzada. Replace that with Kellen Mond and Nick Starkel. Someone's got to be number one. Someone's got to be number two. Two always has to be ready, right? Here's a case they have to turn to their number two. I get it. What if Zach comes out and goes 17 of 20? You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden he can't be that fickle. You got to be, behind a guy and see. He's made some really good throws. Look, in fairness, Jalen Weidemeyer dropped two that he normally doesn't drop. In fairness, Zach Calzada had Jalen Preston wide open down the left side, and he missed them. And he can't do that. That's what Jimbo Fisher has told him in practice. You can't miss open receivers. It's interesting, but it's that two-way street. It's that receivers have to run precise routes, so a pass is not tipped by a teammate. Then conversely, Zach can't throw a helmet off his center's, or can't throw a pass off his center's helmet. You know what I mean? So he is learning on the fly. He does get a chance to go up against this defense 2 or 3 times a week, the good on good part of it. So he gets to see some of this. I think one of the benefits is what this defense is going to see from Mississippi State, even though it's a lot of 4 wide. They've seen that in previous games. The talent's not the same. Please understand that, but they'll recognize that. And I think this offense, the more that they see these teams go with that 3-3-5 or that 3 drop 8, the umbrella defense, more and more that's got to be something that he can recognize and see where he can exploit. Not just him as a quarterback, Jason, as the wide receivers as well. I sometimes think they run the play without seeing the field. I need to ask Jimbo this, and I apologize for not doing it on a Wednesday. I think they're so intent on, I have to run this play the way it's supposed to be. They're not seeing the field and who else is open. When that starts clicking, when the game slows down a little bit, look out, because I think that's when Zach is really going to be his best. As for Haynes King, off the scooter, he's now on the metal crutches. I think that is a good sign. So he keeps progressing on the rehab. I will tell this, and I hope I don't get in trouble for it. It was during one of the periods of practice, and they had a rest period, and then they went over to special teams, and Haynes was on his metal crutches, and all of a sudden Jimbo goes to the other field, and Haynes is waiting, and as soon as Jimbo turned his back, he threw the crutches down and just started throwing to somebody just to make sure that he still does that. You never have to worry about him on the rehab and things like that. And obviously, even when he was on that scooter, he is there every day after rehab on the practice. When he's healthy, and that's the key, he will be back. That's for sure. But Zach's the guy. You can wish all you want. Everybody would love to be 100%. Not possible. And as Jimbo says, it's now the opportunity for the guys. It's an opportunity for Jalen Preston, for Chase Lane, for Damon Demas, for Caleb Chapman, who's out. It's the opportunity that Bryce Foster is now the center. You have to run with it. You can't keep wishing, man, I wish we were 100% healthy. It's not the way it works.
It certainly is. And Andrew Monaco, the voice of the Aggies, joining us here on the Blitz. Of course, you can hear his broadcast tomorrow on our brother station, AM 550 and KTSA and 107.1 FM. Talking about the defensive side of the ball for the Aggies, they're going to have their hands full, especially pass defense. As much as Mike Leach likes to throw the ball and get rid of it quick, is the pressure on the defensive line to try to get sacks or hurries or get their arms up to tip passes, more pressure there on the secondary just to try to hang in there?
Yeah, you know what? It's really interesting because Mississippi State likes to pass to run, right?
Yep.
So how quickly will Will Rogers get that ball out of his hands? And you see that not just Mekhi Pope, the wide receiver, has a lot of catches. He goes to his running backs an awful lot. Dylan, Marks, they like to get them out of the backfield. So that serves as a run. But when it is time for Rogers to be in that pocket, yes, this is where I think the Michael Clemens, the Jaden Peaveys, the DeMarvin Leals, the Tyree Johnsons, can you make that clock change a little bit for Will Rogers? Look, he's going to be 11 games into his career. Last year in Starkville, they made the change. The Stanford grad had started the game, Costello. Rogers came in. Aggies were able to do that. Rogers has a little more time. This entire team has a little more time under Mike Leach, so is a little more comfortable. But that pressure up front can really do wonders for the Aggie back seven. And you're probably going to see them in a lot of nickel and dime. That's for sure. Because they know they throw it so much. It's also going to be the linebackers have to be good. They have to be very good because they've got to make those tackles in space.
Well, that's it. They've got to tackle in space because, Will Rogers is completing 75% of his passes in the last two games, almost 800 yards, six touchdowns, only one pick, yet they've lost both of those games. But it tells me that they're moving the ball, they're scoring, they're not stopping anybody. So it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow. I'm curious what your conversation this week with the visiting coach, Mike Leach, was like.
He showed up in a duster, the old rain. Basically, you expect Mike Leach to show up in a raincoat and pajamas, and you wouldn't even bat an eye, right?
Yep.
It's so interesting. It's with him, and Jimbo used the word wrinkles. He's got wrinkles in his offense, which really, it's probably an understatement with the way that is. And I think it's a Mississippi State team that will get better as the year goes on. They didn't have spring last year. They had an abbreviated fall and then go through an all SEC schedule. I wonder how much it has really helped. Look, the SEC absolutely. Their officials blew that game against Memphis. Is how they're feeling. But you're right. They move the ball. They have not been good in the red zone. They haven't been able to punch it in. I was talking with Neil Price, their broadcaster, Mississippi State's broadcaster. He thought that in a couple of games, by not converting on fourth down, really changed the momentum. But they came storming back against LSU. That's for sure. Again, another team that ran out of time. But then there's also the part of me. I'm saying they're 4-0. They could be 0-4. They survived Louisiana Tech. You know what I mean? They did a number on NC State, and to hold NC State at the time, I wasn't as impressed. I'm more impressed at a 24-10 win after what NC State did last weekend. That really told me something. And that's the other thing Jimbo said. Through all his years coaching in the South, Auburn, LSU, even Florida State, Mississippi State has always had those big, tough defensive linemen and really good linebackers. It goes back to the Jackie Sherrill days at Mississippi State when he just had those big guys on the D-line. We always focus on the Dak Prescotts and the Nick Fitzgeralds and the Kylan Hills, right? The offensive players. Jimbo said the success for Mississippi State was always a stout defense, and they have another one with some experience, which is going to be a test for the Aggie offense as well.
It's going to be a fun one tomorrow night at Kyle Field. Listen to Andrew's broadcast over on KTSA. Andrew Monaco, the voice of the Aggies. Always appreciate you joining us on a Football Friday, my friend.
Thank you so much, Jason. Pleasure, my friend.
Appreciate it. Andrew Monaco joining us here on the Blitz as he does every week. Again, that game is going to be over on KTSA tomorrow night on San Antonio Sports Star. We're going to have Auburn against LSU. That's going to be a good game to listen to on the radio as well. Make sure you wake up tomorrow morning, the Saturday morning hangover from 9 to 11 with James Pledger and Jack Thompson. On Sunday, you got Laying Down the Law at 9, then the Fantasy Gods at 11, although I'm not sure if Jimenez is going to call in or be a part of the show this weekend because his daughter goes to LSU. He's going to that game tomorrow night, Auburn LSU. And then he's going to the Saints-Giants game on Sunday. Michael Jimenez, RIP to your liver, my friend, but have a great time this weekend down there. And, of course, we've got Texas and TCU tomorrow morning. It's an interesting game when I think about Texas hanging 70 on Texas Tech last week. 70. And the difference of this football team, this Longhorn football team, since Casey Thompson has taken over at quarterback. He threw for 5 touchdowns. You got Bijan Robinson that's playing lights out. And TCU completely wet the bed last week against SMU. One of the worst losses for Gary Patterson. Embarrassing losses. He's so mad he's still upset that SMU planted a flag at the middle of the field. I thought it was funny. But I know what Max Duggan has done to the Longhorns before. And for whatever reason, the Frogs dominate the Texas Longhorns since Gary Patterson has been there. They are 7-2 against UT since joining the Big 12 in 2012. Texas hasn't won in Fort Worth since 2013. Sark, you got to go get that win. You cannot look ahead to Oklahoma next week. This can't be a look-ahead game for the Texas Longhorns. They can't. They cannot do it. I don't know what Gary Patterson does. But when you think about OU and how beatable they now look, Baylor, Yeah, Iowa State isn't what we thought they were going to be. The Big 12 is available to the Longhorns if they don't screw up. And when I say that, that means you can't have a letdown game against TCU. And there are teams out there that just have your number for whatever reason. I mean, Gary Patterson's going to write country songs about his domination of the Longhorns. It can't happen this week for Sark. The Sark era has to start with a nice win over TCU leading in to the Red River rivalry. The Red River shootout. That we get to go through all that next week on what we actually call the damn thing. But Texas can't go limping in after a bad loss. Oklahoma's trying to figure their stuff out because they didn't have a good game last week against West Virginia, yet they pulled out a win late. For both of those teams, they can't get caught looking ahead. That is for sure. And then, of course, you've got UTSA. UTSA tomorrow night in the Dome. I'm going to tailgate, even if it's raining. I was talking to Rudy J earlier. He's like, well, I'm going, but it's supposed to rain, man. I said, well, you can drink in the rain. We were down there last week. There's lots of tents.
Last I heard, the Dome was covered.
Oh, is it? So it's raining is an excuse?
I don't think it is.
For all you people that say we need an outdoor stadium, yeah. Yeah, the Alamo Dome's always 72 degrees. If it's really bad rain, you might not tailgate as much.
But go to the game.
Go to the game. Find us at the game. Look for Rudy. Look for me. Pack the Dome. And again, I'll reiterate, there's more on the line than just supporting a good, fun team with a lot of local players. You want UTSA to elevate their status, take a step up the conference ladder? Realignment is going on. The American is in play for UTSA. They might not be the first choice, UTSA. But when you start to see other teams that are saying, no, we're good, we're going to stay here in the Mountain West, that could open the door for the UTSA Roadrunners. But you know what the first thing that conference is going to do? Look at attendance. And 16,000 doesn't cut it. It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. Coming up, we'll talk some Cowboys and Carolina Panthers with Jon Machota of The Athletic. He will join us at 5:30. We'll hear from Mike McCarthy at 6 o'clock here on the Blitz. It's a Friday. You have your weekend plans. You don't plan on getting arrested. You never do. But, it happens to a lot of people every day for all kinds of reasons. If you get arrested and you want to get out of jail fast, best way to do that is to call my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text the word bail to 474747 or even start the bonding process online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys to get out of jail. There's a lot of reasons for that. And you don't want to be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you truly understand what all those conditions are before accepting it. Your best option is AA Best Bail Bonds for stress-free bail bonds because nobody beats their price. They have payment plans available. They offer a free shuttle service. Of course, they're discreet and confidential and open 24/7. They have offices all over San Antonio and Texas, services nationwide. So if you're up in Dallas, down in Corpus, in the Valley, anywhere in between, and of course, offices all over San Antonio, license number 149, call AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. 225-2121 or online at mybestbailbonds.com. Let's get a Sports Center update. Here's James Pledger.
Hey, Jason. Well, in college football tomorrow, the 3-1 Texas Longhorns head to Fort Worth to take on the 2-1 TCU Horned Frogs. Kickoff set for 11 in the morning. The Texas Tech Red Bears look to rebound from their loss to Texas last week as they head to West Virginia to take on the Mountaineers at 2:30. The 15th-ranked Aggies look to bounce back from their loss to Arkansas as they welcome Mike Leach and the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who are 2-2 on the year, into College Station for a 6 o'clock kick. Of course, you can catch that game over on our brother station, 550 KTSA and FM 107.1. It all starts at 5 o'clock tomorrow with the pregame. The 4-0 UTSA Roadrunners welcome the 0-4 UNLV Rebels into the Alamo Dome tomorrow evening for a 5 o'clock kick, while the 3-1 Incarnate Word Cardinals hit the road to take on 0-3 Northwestern State at 6 o'clock. The Dallas Cowboys hit the field to take on the undefeated Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Kickoff set for noon, a game you can catch right here on your home for the Cowboys. Starting at noon, the Houston Texans head to Buffalo as they take on the Bills. They'll be without linebacker Zach Cunningham and defensive tackle Ross Blacklock for that game, who are placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. The AL West champion Houston Astros wind down the regular season as they take on the Oakland A's at 7:10 tonight in Minute Maid Park. I'm James Pudger for San Antonio Sports Star.
ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Your source to local news and sports in San Antonio begins with the San Antonio Express News. We've collected, written, and shown the stories that matter most to San Antonio. Look no further than the San Antonio Express News to continue to provide information and strength to the community. Whether it's on the field or on a court, we provide the ground local coverage. Go to expressnews.com for the most up-to-date high school and college sports coverage. Subscribe today at expressnews.com.
It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron. BetOnline.net is your number one spot for all the pro and college football odds and news this season. Get all the updated info on players, teams, and odds to help you with your new football contests, leagues, and new survivor pools. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports. Pro sports, MMA, championship boxing, golf, horse racing, they have it all. Bring the game home with BetOnline.net, where the game starts.
You can talk keto all you want, but if you don't have a team of great tasting snacks behind you, you're not going to win the diet marathon. Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds have these big, bold flavors that kick your taste buds into high gear. Korean kimchi barbecue, pasilla chili cheese, spicy dill, and more. Eat them right out of the bag or try them in your favorite recipes. You'll love this snack. Visit your local H-E-B and southernrecipesmallbatch.com to see the power of the rinds.
Southern Recipe pork rinds.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you looking for a job where you can have tons of fun and make great money? Twin Peaks is the team for you. We're looking for Twin Peaks girls, cooks, bussers, barbacks, and more. Text WORK 4TP to 85000 to apply. That's WORK, the number 4 TP to 85000 to apply. Working from home, you realize you don't have enough outlets or USB ports. Hill Electric can fix that for you. For over 3 decades, the family-owned Hill Electric has served San Antonio homes and businesses. From adding an outlet, fixing that fuse that always blows, or that flickering light, Hill Electric has the right service at the right price, and there is never a service charge and always free estimates. Call Hill Electric at 210-404-9074. That's 404-9074. Or go to hill-electric.com.
Pro football season's here, and pro roofers save valuable time with Beacon Pro Plus. Beacon Pro Plus works 24/7 for material ordering, order history, and automated promotion tracking, so you can get your favorite GAF roofing products even when working remotely. And now, order on Beacon Pro Plus and get a $175 gift card and a chance for a VIP pro football getaway. Gear up and raise your game with Beacon Pro Plus today. Build, score, and win at BECN.com.
This is Jerry Jones, and you're listening to the home of the Dallas Cowboys.
San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix on a football Friday. Coming up Sunday, Cowboys, Carolina Panthers. Good test for the Cowboys coming up. Let's talk about it with Jon Machota of The Athletic. Great follow on Twitter. Hope you're subscribing to The Athletic because there's always great content there. You know, John, you look at the Cowboys coming off a dominating win over the Eagles on Monday. You know, down here, UTSA Roadrunners playing good college football. Their coach, Jeff Traylor, they're undefeated going into a game against UNLV tomorrow. And his saying is, don't eat the cheese. Don't read the headlines. Don't get caught up into it. How have the Cowboys been this week after such a dominating performance over the Eagles?
They've been pretty business as usual. You know, I mean, believe me, there's been plenty of questions from us to the players and coaches alike about the not eating the cheese or, you know, especially with today's day and age. You know, I know Bill Parcells said that, but that's before the impact of social media. And so you see it now. It's like guys can just see all the positive stuff about it that is being tweeted out and written about them all the time, more so than they probably ever could ever before. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. But, I mean, I just really get it starts with Dak, and so it's top down. And just the way that he's been this week, it certainly seems like, they're not looking too far past a team like Carolina because they're undefeated. And Amari Cooper said the same thing. Thought it was interesting how Trayvon Diggs this week, we talked about how, he won Defensive Player of the Month. And when he walked past Dak in the hall, Dak was like, basically like, that's great, but like, kind of do it again type thing, like this is going to be, we're not going to be just happy with where we are right now. And when Dak was asked about eating the cheese, he even said it's like 2-1. It's not, the cheese ain't that great right now. Like it's not anything to get too excited about. So even though they say all that, I kind of am interested in that part of it on Sunday, just because you go from Monday night hyped up, building was electric, big win over a division rival, first home game with Dak back, and they were dominant. And then now you play noon against Carolina. There's just not a lot of hype in this game. That probably a late arriving crowd. It won't have that same electricity early on. So I'm interested to see how they start off, particularly on the first couple of series and how they're playing there. But they're saying all the right things.
Well, they are. Jon Machota from The Athletic joining us here on the Blitz. I look at Carolina, and they are 3-0. They've beaten the Jets, the Saints, and the Texans. And the Saints, I don't know what to make of that game because that was a week after the Saints destroyed Green Bay. But they do have the number one defense and 14 sacks on the year. And I think about Tyler Biadasz has continued to struggle at center. Terrence Steele is playing well at tackle. But as quick as Dak gets rid of the ball typically, and Matt Rule talked about it a lot this week, 2.52 seconds, the reality is he's still getting sacked and hit probably too much than that you would think for a quarterback that's getting rid of the ball so fast.
Yeah, and that'll be a concern because I think this game is going to resemble a lot more like week one against the Buccaneers. I mean, the Buccaneers were willing to come with blitzes last 2 weeks. He hasn't seen nearly as many blitzes, but he was good against the blitz against the Bucs. Now, to your point, though, he did take some shots. He took some big shots, particularly from Ndamukong Suh, staying in there in the pocket and delivering that. And that's clearly not what you want to see from your franchise quarterback. And so that'll be of concern. But I do think that he can handle it. And as you said, get it out quick and get it to these different weapons that he has. I mean, that's the one thing. Like, I do think that you shouldn't overlook Carolina, but as long as they're dialed in and focused, like there's just so many weapons that are out there. And that's even without Michael Gallup, that it shouldn't be a lot of sitting back there if they're bringing blitzes. Especially where Dak is, when Matt Rule talks about him going up to the line, identifying things, comparing it to Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and things like that. It's the identifying that stuff before it even happens, kind of knowing, hey, this is the play we need to get into because they're going to come on this blitz. The pressure's coming from this area. And so this is what you've been building to, and if you're Dak Prescott and you're Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator, you feel comfortable in these situations because you've gone over them. And while they can do the same stuff Tampa Bay did, it doesn't mean that they'll have the same success. And so, it'll be a good matchup for them. But there is just the way that teams are constructed nowadays, there really isn't a defense in the NFL that with the Cowboys healthy on offense, they shouldn't have some answers to.
I agree. And again, you look at Dak as efficient as he's been this season, and 9 different receivers has already caught passes in 3 games. That's an incredible number, which tells me if you're taking away, say, Amari Cooper only got targeted 4 times against the Eagles, somebody's going to be open. Against the Eagles, it was the tight end, and he got a lot of catches.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, there's definitely guys that I don't even think have been involved nearly as much as they could. I mean, Amari Cooper went off in week 1, but he hasn't had the same production the last 2 weeks. Now, he was dealing with the rib, but, in talking to him this week, he doesn't seem to be like that was holding him back. He got 4 targets this past week, and he's fine with that because that's not Amari's personality to be, flipping out on the sideline, give me the rock.
John, he's on my fantasy team. I need him to flip out on the sidelines and get more targets and catches.
I know. My brother's got him on his team too, and I'm going to pass that along to Amari. He needs to start. And it might even be more than Amari. I need to tell Kellen more of this. Like, you understand what's going on here? Cedric Wilson isn't on fantasy teams, okay? Dalton Schultz isn't on many fantasy teams right now. I don't know how deep your league is, okay? Like, get these balls over to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. No,
And Murphy's Law, as soon as you pick up Dalton Schultz, everything's going to go to Blake Jarwin and go back to Amari Cooper, right? It's one of those. And that's one of the – I mean, Cowboys, they're not a good fantasy play team because you don't know who's going to get the ball on any given game.
Right, but Kellen Moore absolutely loves that because, as you point out, Blake Jarwin hasn't gotten the ball as much as some would think coming back from his injury, and that's because Dalton Schultz has stepped up. And, going into your fantasy drafts, you were probably taking Ezekiel Elliott pretty early, and I don't think you anticipated Tony Pollard having the workload and the impact that he's had so far. And then even with like a guy like Michael Gallup being out, you think that, okay, well, that means that everything is just going to go to Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, and that hasn't been the case. And Cedric Wilson has shown that he can make plays at a pretty high level. And so, Kellen Moore is playing real life football, and I think that's all he cares about right now. And as long as they win games and they're healthy, I think that even the Cowboys fans that have these players on their fantasy teams, I think they'll be fine with it.
Jon Machota of The Athletic joining us here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Sam Darnold is a different man in Carolina than he was with the New York Jets, although Cowboy fans remember what he did to the Cowboys when he was with the Jets. When you think about defensively and the defense, this Cowboys defense under Dan Quinn getting a lot of headlines, Micah Parsons certainly getting his share, Diggs as well. What kind of problems is this Carolina offense going to give Dallas's defense?
Well, not having Christian McCaffrey hurts them a lot. I mean, DJ Moore is a great receiver on the outside. And Sam Darnold with that Jets team, they didn't have that many weapons, and he did a great job against them. Now, that was, over 2 years ago, and that's one of those things where I looked at it the other day. Anthony Brown is really the only starter. I mean, I guess you can count Jalen Smith or Leighton Vander Esch if you want, from the team that started against the Jets that day or that night. And so you look at what the Cowboys have now and the guys that are making the biggest impact so far, like, it's way different than what Sam Darnold saw the last time he played the Cowboys. I mean, you think of what Osa Diggy has done and Jaron Kearse, and then most importantly, Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. This is just a way different defense than he faced then. And then even if it was the same player, schematically, it's way different. They're just way more aggressive than that defense was, and keeping guys in front of them and not giving up big plays, even though Robbie Anderson had a big play against the Cowboys, and that was an eye-opening moment in that game, and I think was the beginning of the end that season for the Jason Garrett era. But no, I mean, it's still a formidable offense. I mean, their play caller, Joe Brady, is most known for being the guy that was calling the plays for that LSU dominant run a couple years ago, where they just pretty much scored whatever they wanted against whoever they wanted. Now they also had Joe Burrow and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jamar Chase and others, so that factored in as well. But Joe Brady can call plays. I mean, he's an innovative play caller. He's going to have some things that they can do against this defense. There's no question about it. But his number one chess piece, the Micah Parsons of their offense, is Christian McCaffrey. And losing him, we hear it all the time, next man up. Yeah, for some guys, that doesn't really apply to them.
No, and Cowboy fans learned that last year when it came to the quarterback position. Jon Machota of The Athletic joining us here on the Blitz. You think about Carolina's defense, 14 is the most they've given up in one game, two opponents they've held under 10. But it's not like they're scoring a ton of points either. What kind of game do you expect to see on Sunday?
I think it'll be low scoring because of it being a noon game. Like I said, I think that early on, I don't think it's going to be like the way it was against Philadelphia. I don't think that they're just going to go right down the field like that, and this is a better defense than Philadelphia. So because of that, I just think it stays lower scoring. I think it's, in the score-wise, I think it's a little bit more comparable to the Chargers game, like 2017, 2014, somewhere in that ballpark. And I'm not saying that the Cowboys are just going to, get a lead and pull away. Like, I do think it's going to be a pretty competitive game. I just think in the end, even if it comes down to, let's say, the final couple possessions, I just don't know how you look at these teams and think that you wouldn't take the Cowboys all day long in that matchup if it does come down to the last couple possessions. And I'm saying that even if they were playing in Carolina, they're just too much on that they have on offense that they can do, that as good as Carolina's defense is, I just don't think they're going to be able to stop them.
At the end of the first half, let's say Carolina's got the ball 2nd and 31 from their own 25 at the 2-minute warning, and Mike McCarthy has 2 timeouts. Does he do it exactly the way he did against Philadelphia?
Well, he shouldn't, but maybe he does. Maybe he does to try and show everybody that, hey, it worked last time, it'll work again. No. Yeah, that is a head scratcher, the way that whole thing went down. So I would think that he wouldn't, just because of, I mean, as good as everything's going for the Cowboys these last 2 weeks, the clock management has obviously been an issue, and it's been probably as talked about as much as the wins have been talked about. So I think he'd be a little bit more aggressive there. My thing, though, is it all depends on the situation and kind of how I would say Carolina's having success. If Carolina is having a lot of success up the middle, like you mentioned earlier on with Tyler Biadasz, Connor Williams, some of those guys in the middle, if they're getting a lot of pressure there, maybe he lets the clock go out. Maybe he doesn't want, to put Dak in a bad situation or something like that. Is there injuries? Did somebody go down? I think that it all depends on like the way the game is going. But if they're having success on offense and moving the ball, I certainly would hope he would call a timeout and get his offense back out there to try and score some more points.
Name of the game is possessions and points. That's what it's about. And I don't buy he was comfortable with a 20-14 or 20-7 lead. We saw a 14-0 lead evaporate last night in Jacksonville and Cincinnati. There's just never a point in the first half where I think you're comfortable, but I'm uncomfortable with the fact that 3 games the Cowboys have played this year, all 3, there's been some bad clock management or game management. However, Mike McCarthy wants to parse it. On our morning show today, he said he's got a game management meeting today. And that game management and clock management are 2 different things, which, okay, I'll see you there. But against Tampa Bay late, you left too much time for Tom Brady because you threw an incomplete pass. And we know about the Chargers game in last week. They're winning. So, and with Tom Brady, I think you get a pass. If they lose, everything is very different. I mean, they could be, I don't want to say Philadelphia, they could be 1-2 at this point because of bad clock management.
Absolutely, they could. And I think that anybody that has watched this team through the first 3 games would say, I'm pretty sure that this is going to come back to bite you. Like, you don't just keep doing this and just keep getting by, because even if you have the better players or you're the better team, and that's what's going to happen eventually. I mean, let's be honest. How much do you trust Greg Zuerlein kicking a 56-yarder to win the game? You just don't bank on that every week. And that's even if he is kicking well and he is consistent. So I think that's my biggest takeaway, is that when I watch these games, I'm just kind of like, yeah, they're getting wins, but man, if they keep doing stuff like this, and not even against better teams, just, I mean, NFL with the league of parity that it is, you can do that against some bad teams and lose some games. And I think what's going to happen is, if they are going to lose a game like that, and then it's going to bring up all those things that you just mentioned. It's going to bring up the issue in Tampa Bay. It's going to bring up settling for a 56-yard field goal. It's going to bring up last week before halftime. And it's probably going to be pretty negative, probably a little bit more negative than even Mike McCarthy's expecting. But those are issues. And I think that they're only made worse when you have on TV Peyton Manning watching the game and he's losing his mind about it. I mean, if you have somebody that's earlier, if you told me, hey, you can have one of the top experts in football to kind of comment on something that you had a question about, I don't know how you get outside even the top 5, and Peyton Manning isn't on that list. So when he's losing his mind, it gives a lot of credence to any fan out there who's sitting there like, that doesn't seem right. So yeah, that it certainly is not something that I buy the excuse on. I think that they need to call the time out there. I think there needs to be better clock management, but we'll see. Maybe they learn from these situations and we don't see them going forward. But I'll kind of believe that when I see it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. John, before I let you go, you mentioned it, full stadium on Monday night, first full stadium in well over a year because of COVID. What was the atmosphere like?
Amazing. I mean, I didn't grow up a Cowboys fan since I lived down here. I mean, it's been work, covering the team and stuff like that. But I obviously was very aware of the Cowboys dynasty growing up in Detroit in the 90s. I mean, it was, the Cowboys were the biggest deal. And to have Jimmy Johnson there at halftime, and Jimmy Johnson just doesn't come around. And then for Jimmy, and then the team's playing well, and there's a lot of energy in the building, and he yells, "How about them Cowboys?" As loud as that building has ever been when that happened. I mean, it was electric in there, and just the way the game was going, because it's the Eagles. A lot of people will tell you this, former players, coaches, current players and coaches, that the rivals in the NFC East for the Cowboys, I can't speak for their teams, but for the Cowboys, it changes all the time. It's not, their biggest rival is Washington. Their biggest rival is the Giants. Their biggest rival is the Eagles. It changes. But since I've covered the team for the better part of the last decade, there's no question it's the Eagles. And I think because of that took it to another level. And then just the fact that it's Dak's first game back, it's the first with fans, in a sold out arena. It was the perfect storm. And anybody that was there, I think would compare it to a playoff game. I mean, it felt like the last game I can say was that had that feeling like that was the playoff game against Seattle that they won. So if you could have that every Sunday or Monday or whenever you're hosting a game, I think it'd be very advantageous for the home team. But it's going to probably be, I don't know, it might not be hard to do that. If they keep winning, I'm sure they will get crowds like that.
Yeah, it looked incredible on TV, John. I'm glad you got to kind of share that with us, what it was like inside that building. Good stuff. Follow him on Twitter. Read his stuff in The Athletic. Subscribe to The Athletic. Jon Machota, enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. You take it easy.
Appreciate it. Jon Machota from The Athletic on Twitter at Jon Machota. John with no H, Jon Machota. Good stuff there. Here on the Blitz, the Mike McCarthy interview that the boys had this morning on R&R in the morning. And then I'm going to rip them because they don't think that time management thing is a big deal. I think Rudy just isn't getting enough sleep at night if he didn't think that was a big deal. But we'll talk about that coming up.
I think it's something else with Rudy. See, Rudy's upset because Mike McCarthy knows Rob's name but doesn't know Rudy's. So I think Rudy's just trying to get on his good side. So they'll be like, "Hey, Rudy." Because he's always like, "What's going on, Rob?" But he never calls Rudy by his name when he asks a question. So I think Rudy's just trying to get in Mike McCarthy's good graces.
Oh, you think that's what it is? No, I'm not. Part of that might be true. I just think Rudy looked at that and said, "Well, we won the game. Why is everybody bitching?" See, if they lost the game, he'd be losing his mind. See, I'm losing my mind preventively because I know that clock management is going to bite the Cowboys in the ass against a good football team. Because what they did was stupid. It was dumb. We'll talk about it coming up here on the Blitz. It is a football Friday. If you're heading out to a high school football game, you're going to get some Kielbasa sausage wraps. If you're grilling this weekend, you want to tailgate, you're going to have some sausage wraps. And Kielbasa is the best sausage out there. And they're a nationwide company that started here in San Antonio. And that it's a great San Antonio company when they design their product to fit perfectly in a tortilla. Fact, Kielbasa, the length of their tortilla is literally designed to fit into a tortilla to make a great sausage wrap. You're a great San Antonio company when you do that. You're going to a football game. So you're going to need your cold beverages. You're going to need your tortillas. And you need to get into the grocery store and get yourself some Kielbasa sausage today.
The Dallas Cowboys, the Carolina Panthers, 4 quarters of 2 bitter rivals. Get the action live at noon. Sponsored by AA Best Bail Bonds and Ewald Kubota. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
If your spouse's search history includes single and ready to mingle, you may want to reboot your situation. Call DivorceDude.com at 210-201-0303 and ask for Mark, the Divorce Dude, with Polling Law PLLC. DivorceDude.com can help you get a fast, affordable, agreed divorce. But if you want to fight, the Divorce Dude can fight for you. DivorceDude.com gives you easy legal options and sticks with you every step of the way. If the marriage is over, why fight? DivorceDude.com.
Are you thinking about selling your car? Don't get tricked with 2-minute offers only to spend 4 hours at a dealership. I want you to check out my friends at Car Zeus. It's Rudy J here. Car Zeus is not a dealership, so you don't need to worry about shady sales tactics just to lure you in the door. I'm talking about saving you time and hassle. Simply fill out a form about your car's condition at carzeus.com, and a local agent will text you an offer during business hours. No obligation. Plus, they pay the same day and even provide a courtesy Lyft ride home. That's carzeus.com.
Welcome to Texas, where the sun is beaming down and can damage the interior of your car, even in lower temperatures. Unless you go to Mother's Window Tint, home of the Tint and Alarm Special, where you can also buy a new car stereo since 1984.
1984? That's impressive.
Mother's Window Tint has tinted cars and trucks to stop the sun from damaging their interiors. Texans like dark privacy window tint. Come to Mother's and get some. Legal and guaranteed a lifetime. Remember to protect yourself and your family. Buy an alarm today from Mother's. Start or kill. remote start, GPS locator, 24-hour live monitoring. Save $100 on the tint and alarm package of your choice. San Antonio and Austin stores. motherswindowtint.com.
Remember, do it at Mothers and Save!
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-990-6271 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. Been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? Call U.S. Pharmacy at 800-990-6271 for as little as only $119 for 90 pills. Need your package in a hurry? Call 800-990-6271 and ask about our express shipping option, and we'll rush your order to you as soon as possible. Save money on the little blue or yellow pill you've been wanting to try. Again, 800-990-6271 now. That's 800-990-6271.
The arrival of fall means playoff baseball. Who sweeps? Who makes a surprise run for the pennant? Major League Baseball's playoffs lives here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Hey, this is Sarah Spain, and you're on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. You can always dial us up on the Kia Boston Bacon phone lines, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. On Twitter, I'm at Jason Minix. You see James Pledger on the screen if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube bouncing around because it says on the rundown here that we're going to talk Texans. So what else do you want to talk about? Because we never talk Texans.
I figured.
You guys have the Bills this week. You're going to get killed.
Oh, yeah.
This week.
I'm expecting that.
What is the line, like 17?
16.5, I think, yeah. 17.5, right in that area.
I don't have the balls to take that.
You shouldn't.
But I think the Bills cover that.
I do too.
The only thing that worries me is I've got Josh Allen in my fantasy league, in one of my leagues, and
so do I.
I just worry that they're going to get a big lead, and we'll see Trubisky.
Nah, we saw him kill the Washington football team, and he didn't come out of that game.
I'm with you there. Now, you sent me an article earlier, so I'll let you tell the story here because it's kind of like Carl Schoening and the Ben Simmons trade rumor of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You send me the Deshaun Watson trade rumor of the day. So, and this one pisses me off because it talks about the Eagles, and I don't want Deshaun in the NFC East.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I do.
At that point, if Deshaun Watson ends up in the NFC East, and I know I sound like a bad person as I say this, then I'm rooting for jail time. Because I don't want him in the NFC East.
Well, I do because it gets him out of the AFC altogether.
It's not like the Texans are going to matter in the AFC anytime soon in the next decade. Let's be real. But this story is interesting because apparently the Eagles owner, who's a proven idiot, has given their GM, who's an idiot, the green light to go after Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
which would be an idiotic move.
So it tracks.
Apparently they're not sold on Jalen Hurts.
And neither seem to be the Dolphins on Tua because they also seem to have, in this article, been linked once again.
The Dolphins have been linked to Deshaun forever, and I think part of that wasn't there when he first asked for a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't the Dolphins one of the teams he wanted to go to? Deshaun wants to be on South Beach. I mean, which might be the worst place for a man who has a problem going on Instagram and DMing chicks for him to go with South Beach, right?
I agree.
But that's where he wanted to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why Miami stays linked, although I do think they're not 100% sold on Tua. But the Eagles story is interesting because if their owner's giving them the green light to go make a good deal, Well, Nick Caserio has proven there is no good deal out there that he's willing to take at this point. A good deal is what it is. I mean, what the asking price is, kind of like the Ben Simmons situation, teams aren't going to pay that for the contract that they've got to take on and the luggage that they're going to take on. And you're asking for a king's ransom as well. I just don't see that happening. That's why Ben Simmons is still technically a 76er, although he didn't get paid today, and why Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback in the league that's always on the inactive list.
The only good news that came out of this is that there's multiple teams that are reportedly starting to get antsy about their quarterback situations and getting ready to pull the trigger, because multiple teams means at least teams bidding against one another for his services, which would raise the value. It may not ever equal what the Texans actually want, but at least increases the value from which you're being offered to that point.
That's what you're hoping for. That's like if you've got a good real estate agent and they get called and said, hey, we're going to put an offer on your house. The good real estate agent says, well, I'm looking at 2 offers right now. You better not lowball me, right? So whoever leaked the story out that the Eagles might be interested or Miami or whatever it might be, you don't know that there's multiple teams involved. You're just getting excited as a fan, hoping that you're going to get that king's ransom in return.
Sure.
As long as he has all these issues hanging over his head, nobody's going to give up max value unless there's some sort of assurance from the commissioner that he won't go on the NFL commissioner's exempt list. See, I think that Roger Goodell doesn't have to do squat right now to Deshaun Watson because he knows the Texans won't play him. But he could play next week if he gets traded. He's going to get traded and then end up on the exempt list because Roger Goodell doesn't want to see a guy facing 22 sexual assault charges on a football field, because that's not good for the Shield. See, he can hide in Houston right now on a team that sucks that nobody cares about, and that doesn't hurt the Shield as much. Put him on the Eagles and let him play. Put him in South Beach. He'll be on the exempt list like that.
I would think that he would, but the NFL has already come out and said in a statement that they are not doing anything.
Right now, because they're continuing to investigate. He changes teams, that investigation says, hey, you need to go on the exempt list. And we know there's some things because the FBI is involved and all kinds of other stuff that is prohibiting the NFL investigators from access to confidential information at this point. I mean, that's part of the reason why it is going so slow, but there's no reason for the NFL to do anything right now because the Texans are paying the guy not to work. And everybody's cool with that situation. If he gets traded, that changes everything. It does. I just, and if there's a team in Pennsylvania that should be making a move for Deshaun Watson, it ain't the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you've got Big Ben Roethlisberger right now, who probably should not have come back this season, and they don't have anybody to turn to. I mean, the sad part is Big Ben is the best option in Pittsburgh right now. But I take a coach like Mike Tomlin and an organization like Pittsburgh, that would be a good, safe place for Deshaun Watson to end up. And he gets to play with a Watt and wear yellow pants. I mean, all of it. All of it's there. And he'll have plenty of towels for whatever he might need them for. So,
and they're small towels too. They're just his size.
But if I'm Pittsburgh, I am big on trying to get Deshaun Watson. Although their ownership group, I don't know. Look at the crap Big Ben has done in the past. I think Deshaun would fit right in. And they would protect him a lot better than he would get protected in Philadelphia. If I'm the Steelers, I'm making that move before Philadelphia makes that move. It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. Speaking of Pennsylvania, one of their native sons, Mike McCarthy, is the head coach of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. He was on R&R this morning because I need to go get something to eat. We're going to play that for you coming up in just a couple of minutes. Speaking of food, if you're going to fire up the grill this weekend, you need to get into Tri-County Meat Market, one of their 2 great locations, because that great meal starts with great meat. And Tri-County Meat Market has everything you need to up your grilling game, and their specials this weekend, deciding what's going on my grill this weekend. They're going to have their sirloin fajitas on special for $12.99 a pound, seasoned, ready to go. You can't do better than what they already have for you, so just go get them all seasoned and ready to go. Their 3-bone ribs and 4-bone ribs are $12.99 a pound. Choice New York strips and Kansas City strips and T-bones at $12.99 a pound. Tri-tips at $7.99 a pound. I think I'm going to do a tri-tip this weekend. And their Tri-County special special sausage is at $7.99 a pound. And they've got your beef, the chicken, the pork, the poppers, everything you need. The pig 5 for $25. So get into Tri-County Meat Market. If you're military or first responder, you're going to get a 10% discount. Tri-County Meat Market, 2 locations, one on Ralph Fair Road, the other on Heavener, or check the website, tricountymeat.com.
Friday nights mean one thing. San Antonio Sports Stars High School Football Game of the Week, powered by Hill Electric. Jason Minix and Kevin Brock have the call each week beginning at 7 p.m. from the GPS of Texas broadcast booth. A Friday night Texas tradition.
Tonight, the Reagan Rattlers take on the Madison Mavericks. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kick.
High school football each week from San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Hey, Texas fans. Coors Light, the official beer partner for Texas Longhorns and San Antonio Sports Star. ESPN invite you to join us for the annual Red River Showdown viewing party at Ojos Locos Cantina on Northwest Loop 410, Saturday, October 9th.
That's right. R&R in the morning will broadcast live from 9 to 11. Texas and OU. Kickoff will get going at 11. Get there early. Enjoy some great food, great Coors Light tailgate prizes, and great Coors Light drink specials. Don't miss the Red River Showdown. Ojos Locos Cantina, Saturday, October the 9th. The party starts at 9.
At Enrique Custom Vision, you'll find some people just aren't good candidates for Z-LASIK. That's why they have different technologies for different patients. They are a custom vision center focused on helping people get rid of their glasses and contacts. Rudy J here. Call them today for a complimentary consultation to see what's right for you. Financing is offered to all FSA and medical spending accounts accepted. Get treated like family by Dr. Manrique. Call 354-2020 for the Manrique difference. That's 354-2020.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Apex Trade-In event running now through October 31st. Bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 50% trade-in bonus towards new Apex 21 irons. The Apex, Apex Pro, and Apex DCB are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Swing by and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Hi, welcome to Smoky Mo's.
At Smoky Mo's Barbecue, we smoke our meats fresh, in-house, each and every day. We think it makes all the difference in the quality of our moist, flavorful brisket and turkey, and the mouth-watering tenderness of our ribs and pork loin. Got a crowd? We've got group packs and full-service catering. Up early? We've got made-to-order breakfast tacos. Find your store at SmokyMo'sBarbecue.com and come see us for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Smoky Mo's Barbecue. The pit is lit.
COVID vaccine alone will not fully protect you from the coronavirus. You also need to be vigilant. It is critical to take a reliable temperature reading with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's the only thermometer whose accuracy has been proven in more than 100 clinical studies. Vaccines may not be enough, and thermometer accuracy matters. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Exergen is changing the way the world takes temperature.
This is Rob Thompson for BetUS.com. My sportsbook, it should be your sportsbook. You ask why? Well, BetUS has been America's favorite sportsbook for over 25 years. You need a sportsbook with integrity and longevity. You need to know that you're going to get paid, and that is BetUS.com. You also need a sportsbook that has everything you want to lay money on: live betting, MMA, golf, and everything else, including all those great prop bets. The number you need is 1-800-79-BET-US. Call them and say KZDC and get 200% in bonuses. That's KZDC. BetUS, where the game begins.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online, mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
This is the home of the Cowboys, Rangers, and Aggie football. KZDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Jason Minix, the Blitz.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. Glad to have you along here on a football Friday. We're at Hero Stadium. Kevin Brock and myself will have the call tonight for our Hill Electric High School game of the week. We got a good one. Reagan against Madison. And I tell you, it's our game of the week. It's the Express News game of the week. KSAT's here. Ken's is here. Saw Joe Reinagle earlier in a bright pink shirt. Greg Simmons, he's wearing a red shirt. I'm looking at him right now down there on the track. You know, and so you look at it, the idea that with I lost my train of thought. The idea with the Cowboys and clock management. Rob and Rudy got into it with Mike McCarthy, or I want to say got into it. They asked him about it. It was early. They served him some cupcakes. We'll talk about it after. I can't believe Rudy really doesn't think it was that big of a deal. I really don't, because it is that big of a deal, and that's 3 games in a row that the Cowboys have had issues with clock management. If you're watching on Facebook, if you look down there in that red shirt, that's Greg Simmons. I mean, it's a big game, man. When you get the Dean out here, it's there. Let's listen to Mike McCarthy on with R&R in the morning, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. They did send him tacos. They did not have the stones to ask him what I challenged them to ask him, and that was to try to figure out what Jerry Jones meant when he said Micah Parsons was as pure as mother's milk. In fact, I tried to get the guys to get Jonathan, who delivers the tacos, to just send a thing of milk and write mother's milk on it. They didn't do it, but they did send some barbacoa in Big Red.
It's going great. I just got the great news that some tacos in Big Red about arrived.
We added
what
in
you know about that Big Red,
the
Coach?
Big Red, Coach. We wanted you to get a little taste
of about that. What's that all about?
It is a staple down here, and it's drunk, with a lot of different ways. But here in San Antonio, on Sundays, on the weekends, Big Red and barbacoa tacos are the norm around here. So we wanted to get you used to the Big Red, and we'll get you some barbacoa. Now, have you ever had barbacoa tacos, Coach?
Apologize, I have not.
Well, it's not. We're not all that surprised. I'm not going to tell you what it is, how we do it down here, but it's cow. It's beef. It's just from a very particular part of the cow, and we'll get those delivered next week. But it's a red cream. It's something akin to that. It's just on the other side. It's cow face. I want you to figure, if you took a cow and you buried it in a hole and wrapped it in banana leaves and just cooked all the meat off the face, that's what we make the tacos out of. And it's so good that we have to pair it with a remarkably sweet, sugary drink known as Big Red. So we'll get you going on that. We're glad the tacos are there. Jonathan with El Volcan was at the game last week and wanted to tell you that from chef to you, he had a fantastic time and has certainly enjoyed bringing you the tacos. So let's look back at last week, Coach. You get an Eagle team that was game for sure, and you put them away pretty early. When you watch, I say put them away, and we'll get to how that actually played out. But when you got into the game with everything happening and you saw your offense clicking, what's the feel like as a coach after your first 5 or 6 plays? Do you get a comfort level? When do you start realizing this offense, our game plan is working?
Well, I mean, the beginning of the game is always usually about the rhythm and timing and, getting off on clean plays. And our offense has done an excellent job the first 3 weeks. So, that's what you're really looking for early is that just the communication, the rhythm, and that you're getting lined up and you're playing with the right tempo. And so, but as the game goes on, it's just a constant conversation. I mean, it's on both sides. So, I mean, as you know, both sides are competing. You're reacting to what personnels are putting in the game and so forth. And then when the series is over, both coaches and players are making adjustments for the next series. So I answer your question, like you never get comfortable till the game's over because you're always competing for the next, competing and getting ready for the next series.
He is head coach Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys, joining us as he does every Friday morning, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. You talked about the reaction and getting the game going. I'm reading a stat here that I'm quite frankly astounded by. It's from NFL's Next Gen Stats, and it's looking at your defense. And you're the Cowboy defense is the only team that has not played a single snap in base defense all season long. This is according to them. Did you know that?
Oh, absolutely. We played different forms of it, where and I think that's something that when you look at it by personnel, it's that's an accurate stat. But you look at the things schematically to get into the base defense type looks and schemes is another story. So, but yeah, we're very aware of ourselves, Scott, and that's very good research on your part.
Coach, I'm interested to know, like, as far as when you have guys like Diggs and guys like Parsons, is it becoming leaders in the locker room? Is it just making plays? Because Diggs and Parsons, they're young. So what does it take before guys like start looking to players that young as possible leaders on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I feel that there's always different styles, definitely, of leadership.
Okay.
There's different levels of it. And I think for a young player, really your first level of leadership comes off of your performance. And when you have young players that perform at a high level, obviously that does get the attention of everybody, even the veterans in the locker room. So when you have performance-based leadership, I mean, that's really that's the foundation. You want to be able to, impose your leadership style and type on the locker room. So
right.
When I look at both those guys, both Micah and Diggsy, these guys are young guys that are establishing themselves in the locker room through performance. But we have some very strong veterans that do a great job with the personal everyday leadership, and you're definitely looking for those two young guys to grow into those type of roles.
Coach, the other thing I want to know is, like, when you're playing a Philly, like for the fan, it's like, that's Philly, we hate them. Like, when you got a bunch of new guys in the locker room, you have a bunch of young guys, is the whole rivalry thing, is it real? Do guys get it, or is that just for us as media and us as fans?
Oh no, it's definitely real in the locker room, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't make sure our players were prepared for that.
Right.
Whether you want to call them rival games or division games, I mean, I know we all like the rivalry component of it because every division game has a different taste to it, or a different negative energy towards it. But I think you definitely have to personalize those games, and that's something that I talked about with the football team. So whatever type of mindset that you need to get into with the playing of Philadelphia, you got to realize what they're bringing to the table too. So, and you have to personalize these division games because the division games are different. I mean, they're a lot different. They bring there's a different energy. There's an edginess to it. And there's a whole lot of discipline you have to have in those type of moments. So you have to coach it. You have to emphasize it. And if you look at the play on the sideline where both, we had a number of guys go into their bench area. I thought our guys had great discipline with them, because that's usually where personal fouls and things like that come out of that situation. And so I really like the way our guys handled the edgy moments, because it's a lot easier to throw the punch than not throw the punch. And I think we all recognize that.
It's also a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Coach, what's
taunting?
More fun than not. I mean, we all know that.
Right. But Coach, what is taunting? I mean, do you just tell your guys don't do anything? What is it? Because I don't know. Because sometimes I'm like, that looked like taunting. Then next thing you know, there's a flag on something that was pretty much nothing. What is taunting?
I mean, it's being emphasized. So I think, like anything from the league's perspective, when they are making an emphasis of any particular role, you're going to see more of it than, I think when you have more of those plays called, and obviously now you're looking at the consistency of what is and what isn't. And I think that's what you have going on with taunting. It's definitely something that they don't want in the game. They want to emphasize, and I think we all agree with that. But the consistency of looking to make a call versus reacting to what really happened, I think it definitely has affected some of these taunting calls.
It's the beauty in the eye of the beholder for sure.
Right.
You get a back judge having a bad day. Every side glance suddenly looks like a taunt. That is Mike McCarthy.
Not like a back judge with a bad day now, regardless of what penalty they throw.
Exactly. Coach McCarthy joining us here on San Antonio Sports Star. The defense is certainly getting a lot of credit, and Coach Quinn and all the guys certainly more so, I think, because of all the injuries you guys have dealt with on the front line. And by the way, Randy Gregory, how's the knee? What's going on there?
I think Randy's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Things they wanted to look at it as pre-existing issue that just kind of flared up. So just being smart with them, and we have to remember we're coming off of a Monday night game too. So that's why we were smart yesterday. So Randy will participate in everything today, and then we'll see how it feels tomorrow. But I expect Randy to go in the game
on a fast and furious Friday. We're going to have a Pollard back today too.
Absolutely, yeah. And Tony was right where he needed to be yesterday. So
perfect. That's what we want to hear. Speak to your linebackers, especially Jalen Smith. It looked like he had a heck of a game the other day, sideline to sideline. Were you spying him on Hurts?
Well, we were, you could call it that. It's definitely there's some different looks that we were as far as how we're playing the defense on who did have Hurts, and definitely Jalen had that responsibility a number of times and did an excellent job with it. But we were obviously ready for the option and the particular offense with the quick screens and so forth.
Is it one of those things when a guy like Christian McCaffrey, that dynamic is out, is it a tough job to let the team know, like, hey, we still got to go out here and have the proper fear with this Carolina Panther team, Coach?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, obviously we have a lot of respect for Christian McCaffrey and what he's put on film, throughout his career here. But this team's 3-0. There's a lot of good football that they've put on film here the first 3 weeks. So that's really what we're focusing on. I mean, our defense is playing at a very high level. They haven't given up much in both points and yards. So that's our focus offensively. And then the other thing too is you got Sam Darnold. You got a really good perimeter group. And, this is we're still in that first 4 weeks of the season, so unscouted looks are still going to be part of it. So, we're really at the point in the week now that we've really knuckled down on what we think they're going to do. But, it's time to focus on exactly how we're going to play this game and just be ready for the adjustments, because this game is going to be high in adjustments like the first 3 weeks. That's our anticipation.
You mentioned Diggsy earlier. Diggs gets NFC Defensive Player of the Month, and on the other side, you get an interception. The receivers you guys have dealt with to start the season. You've dealt with basketball teams and speed. DJ Moore is a player. Do you assign? Is it this cornerback gets this guy all day long, or is it according to matchups and sets like that, according to who you're going to put on or how you're going to defend their number one receiver?
Well, you have to have both, because just as I just said earlier, this game is going to be more about matchups and adjustments throughout the game. So you have to have the ability to play field boundary, left, right, matchup football, and all in all your coverage schemes there. So that'll be our approach going into the game.
Coach, are you sick of talking about clocks?
I am, Coach.
Are you sick of talking about clock management?
Well, I got a game management meeting today. It's part of the deal, and hey, that's why I got these big shoulders. You got to part of the gig. But no, I think that, just to give you an honest answer, it's you have clock management, and then you have game management. And no one likes the conservative option when you take it. I fully knew what I was doing, based on the game and the other variables in the game outside of the clock. I was playing to our defense last week, and it definitely held up to be the right decision. So it was a conservative, approach here at the end of the half, and that's that was my decision, and I would do it again.
Scoreboard.
Yeah, I can't believe that was a topic, Coach. Zeke ran possessed last week. What was he eating all last week?
I don't know. We all need to get some of it. That's for sure. I think it was those tacos. I think he dipped into the tacos before he went into the quarterback meeting. So he's always up there with the quarterbacks. I think he might have got. Shoot, maybe we'll give him some Big Red and see what happens.
Yeah, give him some Big Red, Coach.
Do that right before game, because that's a burst of energy and the need for a nap very soon after. He is Coach Mike McCarthy, head of the Dallas Cowboys, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. We know you got meetings to hit. Thanks for stopping by, Coach. Congratulations on a great start. Look forward to a good game this weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great weekend.
That was Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, on with R&R in the morning this morning, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds. And I got a bone to pick with Rudy J and Rob Thompson, but it was Rudy that was like, man, I can't believe everybody was making a big deal out of time management. So if you were listening closely to that, like I do, Mike McCarthy said to them that, when Rob asked him that very good question about when the offense is rolling, at what point do you get comfortable? And he said, you never get comfortable in a game like that. I mean, you're constantly going.
Game and so forth, and then when the series over, both coaches and players were making adjustments for the next series. So I answer your question. You never get comfortable till the game's over.
You never get comfortable until the game is over. Of course, last week or Monday night after the Eagles game, what did he say?
Going to halftime, I was comfortable based on where
he was comfortable going in. 2 minutes on the 25-yard line. The Eagles had the ball on their own 25-yard line, 2nd and 31, and he didn't use any timeouts. That was piss poor clock management. And Rudy said it was no big deal. That's 3 games this year that the Cowboys have had clock management issues. They've only played 3 games. If they lose, it's a big deal. And Rudy J knows it. He knows better. I'm sure he's going to give me a lot of crap tomorrow when we're together at the UTSA football game. We'll see you out there. We got high school football coming up next. Reagan and Madison. That'll do it for the Blitz. We're going to shift hats here in a moment and get ready for the Hill Electric High School Game of the Week here on San Antonio Sports Star.
Guys, stop what you're doing. Give me a few seconds of your time and let me give you a piece of advice that will change your love life forever. Have you noticed you've been losing a little pep in your step? Has your lady friend asked you, is everything okay?